Spoilers for the new episode in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, Shuti Gatwa, Jodie Whittaker, and Billy Piper to episode 542 of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 31st of May, 2025, and featuring The Reality War, written by Russell T. Davies and starring Shuti Gatwa as the Doctor and Varada Sithu as Belinda Chandra. I am Bill Sylvia, the one in black. And I noticed that we use the opening saying that Aaron is Matt.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. I didn't know if we had a new opening or not.
uh, on visuals today is Aaron Romeo Moon Burke.
Hello.
And also with us are Alex Fireheart.
Hello.
That was a clunky way of doing of opening, and I'm never trying that again. How's everybody's week going?
Not too bad. Fairly uneventful. Annoyingly didn't get any extra hours at work, but I've also been trying to limit my spending a lot, so hopefully um hopefully I'll be right, because I've got like when I go away for a bit in June, which, as I told Bill last week, will thankfully by then we'll be back to only doing this every other week. And the time that I'll be away, the weekend that I'll miss, we won't be doing anyway. So so that works out nicely. But I'm still saving up for that trip, and I'm like, oh, am I gonna have enough to afford these hotel stays now? Oh, but I've already got flights in that booked, so no going back now, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it was one of those things of like, I probably could have paid more upfront at the time, but I think it was a matter of I didn't have enough money at the time. And the option I went with was like pay when you show up and slightly discounted, I think. So I think I still need, like, it's a matter of having enough money for that, but then also, like, the week after I get back, I have another psychiatrist appointment. So it's like all this money on this trip, and then like another however much for that appointment. So it's like, am I actually gonna have enough? Let alone, am I, like, even if I am able to afford the hotel stays, will I have enough money to feed myself?
Right.
While I'm there and shit. But I mean, like, I would be buying enough because I'd be there for like, basically I'm staying in 2 different capital cities for 5 days each to attend Critical Role live shows.
Oh, wow.
And because at that point I'm like, that way it's cheaper in terms of I fly from my hometown to my state capital, to the state capital that the first show is happening in, stay there for a few days, then fly to the other state capital the second show is happening in, stay there for a couple of days, and then fly home, instead of fly there, fly back, fly to the other place.
Right.
Because that would be like even more expensive.
I didn't realize to your state capital was long enough to be a flight.
Oh yeah, my from where I am to my state capital is over 90 minutes by plane. Like over an hour and a half, possibly an hour and hour and 3/4 by plane. Queensland is quite big.
Yeah.
You could fit, like, it dwarfs every, like, on an individual basis, no U.S. state is bigger than it. Like Alaska is smaller than it.
I did not.
I'm pretty
Okay,
sure.
I did not. I didn't know that
Jeez.
because I know that that's the
Like,
case generally, but in terms of like
mm,
populated areas by
yeah, like, uh,
non-Aboriginal Australians, I
mm,
know that that's
yeah,
not the entire continent.
yeah.
Um,
Like from the, I'm trying to remember the like from yeah generally from where I am to the state capital, I think is maybe like a 14-hour drive if you do it in one
oh wow,
day.
and that's
And
only
that's
not
with,
okay.
mind you, that's also taking stops into account and not just plowing right through.
Got you.
But it's a 2-day trip if you're smart, basically. You go a certain amount of the distance on the
Right.
first day and then the rest of the way the next day.
And did you say
Like
that was an
it's
hour and a half flight?
like
'Cause
somewhere
it sounds like it
like
should be more than
under,
that.
yeah, like under 2 hours, anywhere between, like, it depends in some cases.
Hmm.
I swear there's been times where they're like, oh, we actually made good time, so we got here in like an hour and a half instead of like
Hmm.
an hour 40 or an hour 50 or whatever. But it's definitely under 2 hours. Whereas
Got
the
you.
flight from there to Melbourne, which is where the second of these shows that I'm going to is happening, is a 2 hour 45-minute flight.
I
Like,
know at least for in my personal situation between my public transportation situation plus US airport security being a different process than in other countries, plus with how shitty flights are on my legs. If it's that
mm,
length of a flight, I will typically take the train somewhere, which
mm,
uh, it's, I mean, train obviously takes longer, but between the
yeah,
fact of, I don't know how long the process for you would typically be, but here, if I'm taking a flight, most of the time, it's already a 2 hour train ride to Chicago. So, we do have an airport here that I'm going to start trying to use more, but I've never used it. Um, and then you need to be there an hour and a half early, or you're probably not going to
mm,
make boarding on time. And
yeah,
then, yeah, so that coupled with the fact that just it's yeah, very painful the way that airports have
mm,
been making their seats closer together, and I
yeah,
generally avoid a flight if it's at all avoidable, which an hour and a
yeah,
half flight would be one that I'd probably try to take an Amtrak, but
yeah.
obviously
This
it's not
is
always avoidable.
yeah, this is an instance where I splurged when I realized the price was the same no matter the distance somehow. I splurged and spent more than I needed to on these flights.
Mhm.
I am going to effectively be the closest equivalent to business or first class because I'm like, I need the leg room.
Right, right.
I had the money, so I was like, screw it. I'm
Yeah,
gonna just splurge for this because some of these flights are gonna be too damn long.
That's why I fly Delta when I can afford it. Delta is one of the more expensive flights, but they always like they have the premium economy that you can book and guarantee it, unlike the discount planes, which may not have legroom, and if they do, it's first come, first serve, and it's either you may have to yeah, you may just not be able to guarantee it at all, and I'm not a fan of that.
Hmm.
Because I don't, yeah, I don't like getting somewhere and then limping all day because I was sitting at a weird angle.
Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, half the
Mhm.
time lately, the issue has been more being so cramped and feeling like I want to make myself smaller so I'm not encroaching on other people's space as well. I usually, like last time, I ended up with a dodgy shoulder, which is like, oh, that's great. Uh,
All right. On today's show, we've got birthdays and news. We do not have any Geek Talk scheduled. Then we have our episode review, final thoughts, and ratings. We do not have predictions. But depending on how long we go, we may do like a season wrap up. Obviously, if we're 2.5 hours in, that's not going to be what we do. So let's go on with it. Yeah, starting with the birthdays.
Okay, so on the 25th of May, we have Sir Ian McKellen, who played the Great Intelligence in The Snowman, but obviously better known as Magneto and Gandalf in other media, turned 86. On the 26th of May, we have Peter Cushing, who played Doctor Who in the Aro Dalek movies, better known as Grand Moff Tarkin and Van Helsing, among We'd Be Here All Day in other stuff. Would have been 112, but died in 1994 at the age of 81. On the 29th of May, we have Pearl Mackie, who played Bill Potts in Series 10, turned 38. Then we've got quite a few on the 30th and 31st. So starting up, we've got on the 1st of the 30th of May, we have Mark Shepard, who played Canton Delaware in The Impossible Astronaut / Day of the Moon. Better known as Crowley from Supernatural, turned 61. Also on the 30th, we have Tracy Charles, who played Metella in The Fires of Pompeii, and the Seventh Doctor audio-only companion Elizabeth Klein turned 62. The last of our trilogy of birthdays on the 30th, we have Christopher Robbie, who played the Cyber Leader in Revenge of the Cybermen, and Carcass in The Mind Robber, turned 87. On the 31st of May, first up out of 4, I think, we have Claudia Grant, who played Carol Ann Ford in An Adventure in Space and Time, and Susan Foreman in The First Doctor Adventures and Diary of River Song, turned 40. Second up on the 31st, we have Reggie Yates, who played Leo Jones, aka Martha's brother, in Series 3, turned 42. Thirdly, on the 31st, we have Linda Bellingham, who played Inquisitor Darkell in the Trial of the Time Lord, plus work for Big Finish, would have been 77, but died in 2014 at the age of 66. And fittingly enough, finally, we end on, also on the 31st, Archie Punjabi, who was the current incarnation of the Rani this year in season 2 of the current era, turned 53.
The weird thing is that's not by any means the first time we've had such a coincidental birthday.
True. So happy birthday to Ian, Peter, Pearl, Mark, Tracy, Christopher, Claudia, Reggie, Linda, and Archie.
All right, going on to episode news. We start off with the episode ratings. So for the overnight ratings for Wish World, which Wish World was viewed by 1.83 UK viewers overnight, which makes it right around the middle for the season, third from the bottom or fourth from the top in terms of overnight viewers. This is a drastic drop compared to episode 6, but not as much of a drop as I would expect, considering that in the modern day, the first part of a two-parter, and a two-parter that they're selling tickets to go see in the theater, you would kind of expect there to be a lot of people just waiting to binge it. And it really, based on those numbers, it's really not the sort of drop that would indicate that fewer people are watching than normal. Like I said, right around the middle for the season. So there may be a few people waited to watch it, but not as many as you might expect.
Yeah. And I wonder how it's going to be affected with how they release this episode into where everyone got it at the same time rather than
Mhm.
Disney Plus and iPlayer getting it early. If they'll like bump the TV numbers up of people just being like, oh, well, that point in the UK, I'll just watch it on TV.
Right. And I think the way it was scheduled, even the people watching it in the cinema ended up watching it at the
Mm.
same time as the people at home because it was an
Yeah.
evening UK release. Which,
Yeah.
by the way,
So,
Disney Plus never, warned us about.
yeah.
Although this actually did make the banner for Disney Plus, not saying it was the season finale or anything, but just saying Doctor Who,
Mm.
because Disney Plus clearly does not give the slightest shit about Doctor Who.
Yeah. This kind of I mean it's pure speculation at this point, but I think they've possibly Okay, so what the hell is that? That's just a UK, that's just a US thing now, I'm realizing. Because it's literally first thing on the banner for me, season finale now streaming, it says. In smaller writing than it should, mind you, but it says it.
Okay, so maybe it is
So
just in small writing. I certainly didn't see it looking at it.
it's like,
I'm not
it's
going to go
like,
back to my TV, but if
yeah,
I pull
yeah.
up the Disney Plus app,
Like it had it like the Doctor Who logo and then the text was under that.
I
And
had
then
to
like
really
the,
search for
oh,
it,
I see.
honestly.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty tiny. Like
yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't even
it's
see
not.
that. I
It's
just saw
yeah,
Doctor
because it's
Who.
because it's not really a. They don't make it a focal thing, which it
Right.
probably should.
It's like it's about as big as the text that says superheroes action and adventure on the Captain America Brave New World
Mm-hmm.
sign.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Like they had like on the updated banner thingy for Wish World, they changed it to after a couple of days. I guess I don't know, but like when I checked it like yesterday, wondering where the new episode was, it was like new episode streaming Sunday. And I'm like, what?
yeah, we didn't get that part, but then again, it hasn't been in the banner on the US in the past few
Right,
weeks.
yeah.
Speaking of past weeks, moving back to Interstellar Song Contest, we now have the 7-day 4-screen ratings. It was watched by 3.75 million viewers. No surprise there that it was the highest of the season. It was right after Eurovision, so all the stuff we talked about last
Mm,
week. Although the fact that it's still the highest after the week, the catch up period, does show that it was highly reviewed. It was even above the season premiere.
mm,
Let me see. It is in. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was the 9th most viewed program on British television, and that is including 3 episodes of Coronation Street. So it was actually the 7th
mm.
most viewed. Which again, partially due to the time slot, but we'll take a win
Yeah,
when we can.
yeah. Which I mean, that's also surprisingly high when you take into account like streaming numbers. Like, yeah, if you look at the like overall numbers, it's like, wow, these numbers are low. But it's like you take streaming and iPlayer into account, it's
Hmm.
like the numbers are never going to get uh the woman who fell to earth high again
Right. That
ever.
and I I've
I
been
don't
saying
think.
all season like this model, even if we still got the 28-day figures, which are probably out there
Mm,
somewhere, I just don't know how to find them.
mm.
Even if we had them, that's still like nowadays there are plenty of people who are going to be like, who are, I'm waiting for the season to finish and I'm going to binge it. You hear that with every
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Like,
if we're not getting what the numbers look like,
mm,
after another week from now for
mm,
all of these episodes, it's not really capturing the modern experience.
yeah. And to be honest, let's face it, I'm aware of some things that air on TV in the US that would beg for 3 million
Yeah.
viewers a week.
Mhm.
So, like, and are still considered to be doing, they're like considered to be doing well if they can get a million. So, like, still being able to get 3 or 2 million isn't too bad. It's like, it's just a new modern standard, really.
Mm. All right, moving on from ratings to skipping all the way to spin-off news. We actually, most of our news is in the spin-off news section. First off, we have Doctor Who Unleashed. So we announced last podcast that Doctor Who Unleashed was planning a sort of 20th anniversary of
Mm.
modern Doctor Who, of the revival era special. So BBC has announced it will be next week. So basically, Doctor Who Unleashed is continuing weekly for 1 week after the regular show. There won't be any sort of gap. And yeah, so the current list of people who will be in it, and I'm guessing it's probably been fully filmed, so it's shouldn't really
Mm.
change unless there's a secret.
Yeah.
Ncuti Gatwa, David Tennant, Jodie Whittaker, Varada Sethu, Billy Piper, Pearl Mackie, Mandip Gill, Stephen Moffat, Chris Chibnall, Russell T Davies, Karen Gillan, and Arthur Darvill. Uh, I would not be shocked. Oh no, sorry, they did already say Billy Piper. Um, yeah, obviously the main person missing here is Christopher Eccleston. We're not going to see him. John
Mm.
Barrowman, we're not going to see him.
No Capaldi mentioned, no
Mhm.
Matt Smith
Yeah,
mentioned.
Peter Capaldi would and Peter Capaldi and Matt Smith are generally the harder ones to get for them to get a hold of, it seems.
Mm. I
Also
mean,
Alex Kingston.
mm. Like, yeah, like Matt Smith, I could see them maybe not having been able to get him because he's like busy working, and it maybe conflict. Maybe he's like filming something at the moment, so they couldn't
Mhm.
get him. So if he like, and I guess this also might even only take into account like this is who we could get back for current day interviews. They might use some like
Right,
stock previous stuff for people like Capaldi and Smith, who all it would have been a matter of is, hey, can we use like these old interview snippets of you?
right. Oh, this will be an hour-long episode of Doctor Who Unleashed. So I think today's was 30
Oh.
minutes. This one will be
Mm.
twice as long as that.
I guess it makes sense. Celebrating 20 years
Yeah.
of modern Who makes sense.
I wonder if that's when they're going to do the official announcement of the new Doctor, because they haven't.
I
Like
would,
they've done,
yeah,
they've done like, oh, we're seeing the Doctor regenerate, but they haven't done the like, this is the 16th Doctor sort of thing, and they also
yeah,
intentionally seem to have left that out of the credits. So
yeah. It's
I
just
don't know if that's because
introducing
they have
name.
scripts ready for
Mhm.
season 3 or what. I mean, they do have scripts ready, but
You know, that's gonna be funny. What if the Disney deal does not get renewed? Are we just
or
going
I
back
mean,
to the old numbering, or are we sticking with this now?
it's I don't think they would go back, especially since they did switch studios from BBC to Bad Wolf.
Right, yeah.
So it would be really weird
Mm.
to just go back to the numbering.
Yeah, because like so
Although
many.
something I noticed today on the numbering, so the 13th Doctor had series 13, and because of the weird way things kind of played out, if we stuck with that numbering like a lot of people are doing, even though the BBC isn't, the 15th
Mm,
Doctor got series 15,
Hmm.
yeah.
and I guess the 16th Doctor would get series 16 as well.
Mm,
If
but
so,
yeah,
what were the I don't know what the odds of
yeah,
three nickels are, but
yeah.
all right. Moving on, because we're getting dangerously close to interfering with the review here.
Mm,
Composer Lorne Balfe, and maybe Balfe, I'm not entirely sure the linguistic origin of that, is has been chosen to score The War Between the Land and the Sea. and has announced that by offering limited places to watch a scoring session. So I guess the score has not yet been composed then in Wales in June with a full orchestra. I'm sure this is. Let me see. Okay, so there's a registration link. So this would take place on the June 26th. Let me see. So you can register your interest at fragmentedmusic.com. It doesn't give any more information. So I'm guessing you need to be able to get there. I doubt they're flying people over from Australia and the United States. At best, they're offering travel to people in the UK, but they really haven't said anything like that. So it's probably just a ticket. You probably need to get there yourself.
I figure it'll be a thing of, at most, they might try to make deals with like maybe a local hotel where it's like, if you have a ticket to go to this and you stay there, you'll get a discount, and that's it.
Right. Maybe a free train ticket, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
You gotta walk there.
And our final piece of spin-off news, in place of what would typically be the next episode trailer, we actually got the trailer for The War Between the Land and the Sea. Did everybody get to watch this trailer?
I did.
Yeah.
And we've got what looks like the two main leads, as well as a few other things. Alex, I think you were about to say something, so go ahead.
I mean, like, I can wait until we're giving like general thoughts, but
Oh no, yeah. I mean, yeah. Go ahead. You can give your thoughts.
Boo! Give me back fucking Chibnall era Sea Devils. I fucking hate these Sea Devil looks. I fucking hate it
Sexy
so much.
Sea Devil.
This is it's like like we got proper Sea Devils, and I'm like, okay, sweet, they can just reuse those, right?
Yeah, but they
Right.
can't
No,
with
we
humans.
we have to go fucking Moffat style. Like, I was originally, when I was angry about this, I was almost going to say Russell, and then like, no, Russell didn't bring him back. Moffat did.
I mean,
It's just the Silurians all over again.
If I remember properly, the set photos included both versions, and we were like, are there going to be CGI touch-ups or what? Based on this trailer, though, I think they want you to want to fuck a Sea Devil. I think there's a romance plot going on between the main human in the trailer and the main Sea Devil in the trailer. That's the vibe I was getting. Also, why does she, like, just looking at this trailer at the thumbnail, why does she have pink lips?
Yeah, well, because I mean, we called this way back when we first saw like the still image of her running. We knew this was probably going to happen. Oh, they've got a sexy Sea Devil because they can't have a main Sea Devil look like an actual Sea Devil because those look too evil and scary. You know, things that look ugly must be evil, right?
Yeah, it's like, I hate the notion of they have to be humanoid so they can be like, you know, this, that, the other. It's so crap. Make them look like.
Unfortunately,
I would almost say make them look alien, but technically they're supposed to be from Earth. So.
Right. I mean, unfortunately, it's and I mean, I can't judge this too much because I know there's like evolutionary reasons for it. Like, I could definitely believe, maybe not for the hardcore sci-fi fans, but definitely for the typical audience member, they'll be able to relate more and to have more empathy and for someone that looks humanoid. But yeah, it's from a storytelling perspective, it's very disappointing.
Yeah, because like the Silurians have technically always had a level of sympathy because they were effectively well, I say effectively, they were an allegory for indigenous peoples, effectively. That's what they were. And so they weren't supposed to be like outright villains. They were just supposed to be like, you know, oh, I can get what your grievance is, but hey, maybe let's try to settle this peacefully.
Right.
And then they get genocided by by fucking unit. So no wonder why the Sea Devils are pissed.
Which said that
Oh.
we have a moment where Kate is yelling at someone to stop. Do you think she's yelling at other people in unit? Or
probably Sea Devils, I think.
okay.
Because it seems like it's supposed to be peace talks that go wrong, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Which might even just be a matter of like there's a rogue faction of Sea Devils that are like, no, fuck you, we don't want peace. Whereas other Sea Devils are like, no, actually, we probably would like that. Thank you.
I will say, I'm pretty sure every Solorian story pretty much tends to have like there's that one like whether they're like a general or like a political leader. There always has to be someone who's like kill them all.
Yeah. Speaking
so
of
I
allegories,
don't expect any less of that here.
Speaking of allegories, how much do you think they'll screw this up?
Yeah, we'll see, I guess. But it's like this is like, it's not all Russell, but I know it's like mostly Russell with like someone co-writing. I think.
Yeah, the if they
'Cause it's
do
only
go the
5
romance
episodes.
route that this trailer seems to imply, that does definitely like harken back to certain Disney movies and such.
It's like Romeo and Juliet.
And I'm pretty sure there was no genocide that was stopped because the female general was sexy or something like that.
This trailer also kind of reminded me of maybe a softer toned Torchwood. Maybe not quite as gritty, but kind of Disney-fied Torchwood, maybe?
It looks like the scale of that is, because like they say the war between the land and the sea, but all we're really seeing is it looks like a single unit squad on what's probably UK streets.
Yeah, like this feels to me like were John Barrowman not, exiled forever from the BBC, that this would maybe have originally been a Torchwood story, but Unit has been brought back and made more important again. So it's like, I guess we'll just do this now.
Right.
And just Unit has always been like Torchwood was basically Unit, but on steroids for adults, effectively. Like Unit, like basically, yeah, Torchwood was, at least in the spin-off show anyway, was Unit but aimed at adults. Whereas this, I feel like it's going to be maybe an older audience than the main show, but not by much. Like, it's not going to be for adults so much as it's going to be not for little kids.
Like, I don't think we're going to get, like, if this were Torchwood, we would see an actual sex scene between, I've just been saying the human and the Sea Devil. I guess their names are Barclay and Salt. If this were Torchwood, we would see a straight up sex scene between them. I think we're only going to get like implications and like sort of like allegory in this.
Right. There would be straight up Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we got a baby out of Doctor Who. We never saw anybody have sex. We never. Sorry.
Mind you, that's how you know Guillermo del Toro is not involved, because he would have been like, no, it has to be the other it has to be those other Sea Devils that are already introduced. I'm not having like sexy sea person. It can be like a sort of.
Although I mean, on the note of like Shape of Water, like I feel like the people who are more, and I mean maybe this says a lot about just gender roles in society, but the people who are more likely to be like, oh no, I want to fuck the one that looks like an alien, I think those people tend to be women. It would be if the genders were reversed and it was more a Beauty and the Beast sort of thing. Visually, like not story elements, because that's a completely different type of story. But anything else anybody kind of noticed that they want to mention?
Not that I can think of, just beyond, oh right, this is probably going to explore that relationship between Kate and that other dude who
people are going to claim that it's about Israel and Gaza regardless of whether it is or not. Which hopefully the writers were smart enough to think about that before finalizing their scripts and be like, okay, how do current events affect the way that our message will be received. It also depends on whether, I mean, this season of Doctor Who was very intentionally like social issues. It felt very much like Third Doctor era writing, except, more modern. So I imagine War Between the Land and the Sea, that they're not going to be ignorant of the, like, at least inspiring social issues, right? It'll be all the issues that the Third Doctor dealt with. Whether or not they keep modern things into account. It also, I mean, regardless of whether when it was written during the current
Yeah.
ongoing situation. So I don't think this was filmed long enough to be before the October 7th situation.
Oh yeah, like I think it was brought up in something I watched that technically the Interstellar Song Contest would have been either written or rewritten after the current situation escalated.
And that's
So
like this season. Somebody pointed out this season started filming before Shurigatwa's first episode aired, which is interesting. That, I mean, well, granted, there have been leaks, but yeah. So War Between, that was quite in advance. I'm not sure if War Between the Land and the Sea was so far in advance. I don't honestly remember.
Because I think they only filmed that either late last year or early. Maybe they did it earlier this year. I forget. It's been a while since we covered it.
Yeah, definitely. See if
I
I
guess
can
if
find
they,
anything
I
real
guess
quick.
if they had it already, it's like because
It
that's
was
a
it was
baffling.
filmed in the last 4 months of last year, so
Okay.
definitely,
Yeah.
like the Israel Gaza situation was not very different than it is right now.
Yeah. Of course, I'm just curious as to how soon coming soon is because the trailer says coming soon. I'm just like,
Oh yeah,
I would have
um,
expected this to just air next year as like
right.
here's something because you won't be getting a season next year. Like here's
I mean, it
something.
sounds like they're doing the score over the summer.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll be getting this in place of like a Christmas special, I guess.
Right.
Effectively.
Merry Christmas.
All right. Moving on from there, we have our Big Finish news. On May 28th, they released Torchwood: The Boy Who Never Laughed. Written by Joseph Lidster and starring Johnny Green as two different versions of Tyler Steele. And I'm thinking that might be a Big Finish original character, but I want to double check that.
I was gonna say I don't remember Tyler Steele being a member
Oh,
of
yep.
Torchwood.
First appearance was Torchwood for Big Finish Series 5, Episode 1. So this is this is a Big Finish original character who seems to have quite an extensive fandom article. So people have been following that range care as some, if you mostly care about Torchwood on TV, probably care a bit less. Also for Big Finish, this is less a release and more news. Funnily enough, we recently covered a birthday that should be one of these cast members, but they've announced a new, at least trilogy of, they say, feature-length audio dramas. The First Doctor Unbound. So these are then officially going to be non-canon stories featuring a version of the First Doctor. But the interesting thing is these are the Adventure in Space and Time cast. So we've got David Bradley, Claudia Grant, Jamie Glover, and Gemma Powell reprising their roles. This is interesting because the First Doctor Adventures range started out with this cast. So now we have this same cast who's played the actors on screen, the canon, as far as Big Finish goes, canon versions of the characters, and now they're playing Unbound versions. And I wonder if they're going to just make the first Doctor Adventures into Unbound, considering there was already like issues where that version of the Master was no longer being used anymore. So I wonder if they're just going to say like all of the stories with this cast are actually in the Unbound universe. But
I guess
yeah,
more likely this allows them to like play around with that cast or something and just do
right.
stuff that isn't bound to continuity.
Yeah. And not need to worry so much about things like Ian and Barbara trying to get home and stuff like that. And that is the end of our news. And we don't have any geek talk, so that brings us to our summary.
I'm actually going to bring up the article. My mouse. I just want to do a quick experiment. Sorry for everybody. I could have.
Oh, that's right. And you're all, so
I'm trying to
since you're
drag
doing,
my.
since you're on tech, I should have my stopwatch as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna open up my my information here. I also need to bring up my notes for the episode as well as the plot summary. And yes, I will be bringing up. Are we using the timer that's on? Oh wow, the timer goes away on Canva.
Yeah, it's a timer for the person who's using it. It's not a timer for the presentation. For some reason, Canva does not have a stopwatch for presentations, which, as somebody who's used stopwatches while teaching a class, that would be helpful to have, but they don't have it.
Yeah,
The view
I mean,
you're showing right now actually does show the timer, so if you want to use that, you can.
Yeah, let me see how it looks on. Come on,
It's a count down and not a count up, but
yeah. Well, it's 5 minutes, so let's. And I've got it on OBS, so we'll do this here. Sorry, everyone. This is my first time playing around with the Canva OBS setup, so I'm still very new to it. But let me see here. I guess I will. Bill, just give me a countdown.
okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, as the doctor falls into the abyss, a door to the time hotel opens up behind him, and Anita Ben beckons him inside. The clock strikes midnight and time resets. Ruby and Belinda waking up on May 23rd, and Ronnie and Mrs. Flood fix a lock on Omega's location in the Underverse and begin to work to retrieve him. Anita and the doctor return to the house uninhabited by him and Belinda in the Wish, and donning a kilt, he meets with Belinda and takes her to the time hotel shocking her out of the illusion she's in. Belinda marvels over the existence of Poppy, a baby that they've had in a single day. The doctor travels to his work, the Unified National Insurance Team, opening doorway after doorway into the Time Hotel, and introduces himself as the doctor. Cups shatter, the illusion breaks for those assembled. The Vlinks and Rose Noble appear incompatible with Conrad's vision of the world. The doctor then introduces Belinda and Poppy to the assembled group, who then use microchips installed in every unit employee to send signals to those within London and to break them out of the illusion. Ronnie goes to Conrad and asks him to look through the world he's created and find the doctor, tracking him down to the unit tower, teleporting to meet with him after Ruby, Shirley Ann Bingham, and Melanie Bush rejoin unit. Ronnie explains how she survived the destruction of the Time Lords and has been following the doctor, noting for Ruby and Belinda that she's Mrs. Flood as well. Her plan is to return Omega and use his biological material to revive the Time Lords, the Doctor objecting to that he's a mad titan sentenced to the Underverse, the underworld of legends, for a reason. Mel suggests that the two of them just repopulate the race instead, but the Doctor dismisses it. Time Lords are sterile, which is why Poppy is so special. Ronnie dismisses this option, though. Poppy's a half-breed, a dilution of the Time Lords, and when the wish ends, she will vanish. Ronnie teleports away and begins the extraction of Omega, turning the Bone Beast on Unit Tower as a distraction. As Unit scrambles to defend themselves, the Doctor and Susan Triad work to put together a solution to protect Poppy, a Zero Room. Belinda insists on entering it as well to keep Poppy company. They wait for the wish to end. Unit fits Ruby out with Project Indigo, a personal transmit device and the doctor calls the Rani's hovercraft. He takes it up to the Bone Palace, piercing its protection. Ruby teleports in after him, directly to where Conrad is stationed. The Rani and Mrs. Flood convince the doctor that at least meeting Omega is worth a shot, and the trio welcome him into the world. But this time in the Underverse changed him, as the doctor. But his time in the Underverse changed him, as the doctor said the Underverse is a place of myths, so myths have warped Omega, turning him into a mad titan. He seizes the Rani, devours her. Mrs. Flood takes the time ring the pair were using and takes off, leaving just the doctor to confront the beast. The doctor picks up the Vindicator off the wall and fires it, charged with the power of 1 billion supernovas, into Omega's maw, forcing him back through the portal opened. Meanwhile, Ruby picks up Desiderium and makes a wish, wishing Conrad to be happy. Conrad vanishes. The doctor runs to Ruby and Desiderium, who find themselves located in the doctor's TARDIS, taking it back to Unit HQ, making one final wish for no more wishes. The doctor runs to the Zero Room and opens it. Both Melinda and Poppy are safe. The doctor takes the infant Desiderium, now a foundling, to Carla Sunday to be raised. Having nowhere else to place him, Belinda and the doctor set up a cot in the TARDIS for Poppy, Ruby watching on, the pair planning their adventures now as a trio. But as Ruby watches them, in front of her eyes, she sees Poppy vanish and the pair forget about her. Return to Unit HQ, now finally May 24th. Nobody else can remember Poppy either. The doctor insists that Ruby's memory is mistaken. Ruby eventually convinces everyone, however, due to the presence of other small changes in the world, comparing it to her own existence, how he remembered her when her own mother forgot her, how he fought for her then, every person in Unit agreeing with her that he fights for all of them, that every person is important. So the doctor agrees and departs, heading to the time vortex, needing to shift time by a single degree back to a world with one more person in it. As he prepares, the 13th Doctor appears, attempting to talk him out of it, but she quickly relents and instead helps him with the calculations, departs, and he unleashes regeneration energy into the time vortex. TARDIS lands him in Belinda's backyard, Poppy inside, but Poppy is just Belinda's daughter now. Belinda has always been trying to return home to her daughter, ever since was abducted by the robots. Belinda and the doctor separate, going back to her life as mother and nurse, and he moving on with his, as he always does. Change can be delayed, but not denied. Out in space, the doctor opens the TARDIS doors and looks at a star, a constant friend, wishing joy to the world, and regenerates into a new incarnation.
4 minutes and 53 seconds.
Wow, I actually went over. I actually did it with 5 seconds left to spare, I think, on the Canva thing.
Yeah. You went way into detail.
Sorry, I actually read, to be honest, I read this.
You read every word. You didn't skip a single word, did you?
Well, I was breathing very hard, and which really sucks because I had a very heavy meal at at the Vietnamese kitchen restaurant that we went to. So I'm very full and
you're like, change can be delayed but not stopped, and I'm like, you're really stopping to include that when you're this?
I read it as fast as I could. This was actually read off of the TARDIS wiki.
That's what I'm saying. You read every word. Not...
Yeah. Yep. I just read it. I just went as fast as I could. So, yeah. I guess.
I guess
so I figured...
to let you catch your breath, I could do the rant that I was gonna do because I was saving it for after the summary anyway. But I figured
okay, you weren't saving it for the regular review.
No, but I figured it made more sense to do the summary first. Before that, but okay.
Is there a visual that you could pop into Canva to help related to it, or no?
I just brought up the reality war if you guys want. Otherwise, we can, if Alex has something.
Oh wait, let's see if I can. But oh wait, I should just have. Oh wait, nah.
You can put it under the bad, right? If it's rant.
Because I'm just thinking.
Or just make.
I guess that would make sense. Yeah. All right. Okay. I guess I have to do it that way. Is it showing up? Whoops.
Nothing yet. I noticed from watching the stream last week that it would take a few seconds.
Oh no.
After I pasted something before you could see it.
Mm. Oh,
There we go.
there it goes.
Belinda. Okay.
Yeah, cause, and I guess just for now, I'll probably at least stretch it to fit as well as it will. That's probably going to be as bad as good as it's going to get. Cause
I haven't seen it here. Where is it? That I've got Big Finish, the good, the bad, the best.
It's on the bad. The bad
it's
page.
on the bad.
Oh, it's on the bad page. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it
There
in full screen, but on the regular screen, I can see an AF icon whenever Alex is editing a page.
But yeah, wow, what a waste of a companion this season was. Holy shit, Russell. You, like, what in the flying fuck happened? Because this really does feel, and this, I kind of previewed this last week, this feels like Millie Gibson was meant to be there for these 2 seasons, and then something came up. She wasn't available for all of season 2, so he just went, yeah, just throw in another companion, whatever. And she was just a complete afterthought. Like,
you know what actually backs that up? The Doctor Who Unbound today, or Unleashed today, actually reminded me. They showed the clip of Poppy calling the Doctor and Ruby mommy and daddy. And I'm like,
wow.
I think that was intended for something different than the actual story we got. From Space Babies. I don't think I said that, but like in the original episode.
Yeah, and it's just,
it was meant to be foreshadowing.
Yeah, that like, and I've seen people say, "Oh, well, they just couldn't do her properly because they only had 8 episodes." Fuck off. Bullshit. I know who Ruby is as a companion from her only season as the main companion, and that was 8 episodes. Some of those she wasn't even in that much, like Dot and Bubble, barely in it. So was the Doctor, to be fair, but they were both barely in that. But otherwise, she had 73 yards. She had all these other episodes. She had a special before that, which, Belinda didn't get.
Not even going that far. I think Anita has had more characterization than Belinda.
Oh, yeah. Like, in the little she's done, Mrs. Flood's
2
had
episodes.
more character.
Oh, yeah, and Mrs. Flood.
Yeah, just like, you think you look at Ruby, season 1, right? We get to know her family. We see them a decent amount. We get to know Ruby. Ruby gets an entire episode to herself. And then you look at Belinda. The best characterization Belinda gets this entire fucking season is episode 1. And then that's it. She gets basically nothing. It could be anyone else. That's what pisses me off, is it could be anyone in that spot. She's just a generic blank template. And this, it pisses me off so much. I would have just had it be Monday, to be quite honest with you. Because at least that would have been a future companion that was militaristic, Christian militaristic. So it would have been like, oh, okay, here's something we can work with. But instead, we've got this. And it's just like, I feel so bad for Verada Sethu because I don't know how she really feels. Because, like, yeah, she's talking up enjoying her time when she's on camera, but and keeping in mind, I'm very white, but holy shit, can Russell not do POC companions
Mm-hmm.
at all. Like, if you count Mickey, he's basically a third wheel despite being Rose's boyfriend. Like, you'd half think they're not even dating most of the time. How little she gives a shit until he leaves, and then she suddenly gives a shit. And it's like, you've been giving him shit the entire time, and now you suddenly care because he's like, I'm a third wheel. I'm sick of being a third wheel. I'm gone. I'm going to take care of my grandmother in a different universe. Like, and she's like, no, you're not allowed to leave. And I'm like, fuck you, Rose. Piss off. I hate you. Then Martha happens. Martha is handled better than Belinda, but my God, is she like, I call her the rebound companion for a reason because she is completely overshadowed by the doctor still angsting over Rose, which I fucking hate. Because, like, Martha is, again, a case of both cases of this is missed potential. Like, Martha doesn't get as shafted, but she still gets shafted. There's a reason that people like even within this podcast we have been like justice for Martha, and Jesus Christ, like I barely know who Belinda is as a person. All I know is that she's a nurse and that she's dated a couple of people and vaguely what her parents are. That's it.
Well, you know that she's never going to find out what happened to Poppy.
Yeah, like I just
Which, I mean,
fucking,
the doctor running from his problems is not a new thing,
yeah.
but it seems like a particularly egregious one.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, fuck. For as much as we ragged on Chibnall for doing fuck all with Yaz, Demons of the Punjab was in Yaz's first series.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to not only meet her family, and she was the only family we really met properly in like Chibnall's entire run.
I mean,
We met
Graham was Ryan's
Well, yeah, you
family,
know what I mean.
so
Like in terms of like a like family we go back to rather than family
mhm.
on the TARDIS. Like Yaz had Demons of the
Dan had
Punjab in that.
his sort of
Um,
girlfriend.
yeah, and like
I wish to fuck we got more of Bell and Vinder. I don't know if that was cut when they shortened the season or what, but
yeah, most likely. But yeah, it's just I like like Yaz Yaz didn't get anywhere near as shafted as Belinda did because at least I knew. But like, mind you, yes, Yaz was there longer. Which, funnily enough, she's the longest running POC companion ever by virtue of lasting as long as she did.
I guess it's a short list.
Because,
Yeah.
because like you've got Ryan, who lasted 2 series, and then everyone else is 1.
I mean, I was going to say,
If you
I'm
count,
assuming you're not
like,
counting all the way from Rose until Journey's End as Mickey, because he definitely was
right,
not on the
yeah.
TARDIS that long.
Yeah. He, like, if he counts as a
He was on the
companion at
TARDIS for like
all,
5 episodes out of that whole span.
yeah. Yeah, like if he counts as a companion, it's very like either scattered or very brief. So I don't count his entire run on the show as his companion journey. But yeah, it's like it's I was honest to God hoping that at the very least this character Belinda would have been a carryover companion.
Mm-hmm.
That like even if all that meant was that if Shooty hadn't regenerated in this story, that it would have ended on like a vague, they're going off to have adventures elsewhere. Like a kind of a survival kind of an ending.
Mm-hmm.
Where like maybe the show continues from here, maybe it doesn't, we don't know what's coming next, but they just go off to have more adventures and maybe we'll catch up with that. But instead, she gets 1 season, and fuck me, this could have been anyone else. This, like, it should have just been, like, I hate to say it, but there should have just been Ruby the whole time. and they just work around whatever Millie Gibson's schedule was, because fuck me. Verada Sethu deserved better.
Wasn't Verada also
Like-
filming Ander season 2 during this, or was was Ander after?
I mean,
this?
Probably after,
maybe.
because they
Yeah,
filmed
'cause
this.
she's-
They filmed this in 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, and to be fair, she's barely in Andor season 2, which if these were filming at the same time, that might be
Oh.
why.
Andor season 2 was
Um,
filmed in. Oh shit! Wait, it was filming for over a year. I don't know. Part of that might have been fix-ups.
Either that, or they were like filming in blocks as per availability of the actors
Right.
or something. Especially because it was like four different 3-episode arcs. Maybe they were just filming like the episode
Gotcha.
episode arc break or something. Maybe
Mhm.
I don't know. But yeah, it's just like I know who her character in Andor is better than this, and she's barely in Andor.
Oh, they stopped
she's a
because
side
of Hollywood labor
character.
disputes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that would
That's
have
right.
been during the
SAG-AFTRA
writers'
went on
strike.
strike,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would have been roughly about then. But yeah, that's like, fuck. I like. Yeah, it says something that I know her character. What I can get the kind of person she is from her Andor character, but Belinda, she could be anyone. It bugs the piss out of
And
me so bad.
I feel like part of that is intentional feels like too strong of a word, but like they needed her to be enough of a blank slate that the ending worked. Because in the ending, she's just like Conrad basically wrote a personality for her, and I guess they
yeah. I mean,
maybe
to
were
me,
afraid to go have too much of a personality because of that. I don't know.
I mean, to me, what I would have done is given her such a solid personality that this ended up feeling very Donna, that she might have kind of slightly reset somewhat. Not
Right.
entirely, because she references that all the events prior did still happen. It's not that she's forgotten anything. At least, technically. Like the stuff with Irani and all that still all happened. This isn't a complete last of the Time Lords reset. And even then Martha remembers that. But
And
this
this one,
isn't
it
like
does
a
seem
complete
like
mind
everyone except for the person who reversed the wish seems to have forgotten at least parts of it.
Yeah.
They all seem to remember the Ronnie.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess the Ronnie
everyone...
was really there, so I guess that's
right,
part
yeah.
of it.
Yeah, it's like they remember that the fact that the Ronnie was defeated, just not what happened after that, basically. It's just
What
like,
happened
and then
before,
like...
and
Yeah,
I
like basically...
mhm.
But yeah,
like if you ask Mel who she was the housewife to, I wonder if she would remember that.
Well, that's the funny thing. She said she was single, so but yeah, like I just do better, Russell.
In the
please.
real world, right? Not in the Wish world, she was a housewife.
She said she was single, though. She said or like maybe widowed or something. She was like,
In what
oh,
episode?
I'm an old, like in Wish World, she said she was like, I'm just an old woman living alone, so I'm just going to sit in contemplative silence and enjoy it, kind of
That's
thing.
interesting. Because in this when she gets her consciousness back, she definitely says, "I was a housewife."
Yeah. That's why that line is confusing to me in that sense. But yeah, like, but yeah, but so I don't go on for another like 10
Right.
minutes. I'll just be like, please,
Oh, I
Russell,
didn't
if
flip a coin yet.
if we have any more POC companions, for the love of Christ, actually get POC people to help you write them, because you can't do it worth shit.
It could have been so interesting to have her at least be slightly more antagonistic, almost like I know we shit on
Mm.
Tegan, or at least I shit on Tegan because she kind of traumatized her and
Yeah.
Perry kind of traumatized me as kids. But like it as a kid, like but I think she had a stronger personality, like Donna, like friggin' Tegan, or even Perry. Even though Perry played the damsel in distress a lot and whining so much,
Mm.
but like if she had that strong, like you're taking me home now, like
Yeah.
kind of attitude, like that would have been so much, but it would have been harder to write because it would have made the
Mm.
doctor look like a bad guy.
Yeah, yeah, that's part. Like you want them both to be likable, and
Mm.
like I feel like if the Fifth Doctor era came out now, you would be seeing 20 think pieces on what a terrible person Tegan is every week.
Probably. Uh.
All right, so let's go on to our pecking order, and I got tails on my coin flip, which means it's Aaron first.
Again.
What did you like about this episode?
Let me bring us back to the good, right?
Yep. Yep, and nobody's popped anything in there yet, but I can definitely be Google searching, or you can just add
Alrighty.
your own things as you talk about them.
All right. Um. Hmm. I think I have several things written down. So, I'm gonna say, God dang, there's actually quite a few things that I did like in this episode.
Hmm.
Uh,
What was your favorite?
I'm gonna say maybe bring Jodie Whittaker back because that was very unexpected. Like there was a lot of unexpected things. I apparently successfully avoided spoilers for this, but like it was interesting. The only thing is that her conversation with the doctor I don't really remember a lot of because it seemed kind of confused. Like basically she's kind of, you know, thanking him for regenerating, I believe, right?
No, so she
Oh
was
no,
trying to
she's
stop him
yeah.
from going through with his plan because
Yeah.
it was going to cause like basically a time quake
Oh
that
yeah,
was
that's
going to
right.
affect her, and that's what pulled her out of time.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I only watched the episode once, so if I'm a little bit kind of
Mhm.
a little bit out of, out of touch with some of the details, I guess. But just like having her back, she came back, she performed the doctor just like how I remembered her performing it. She was in character the whole
Mhm.
time. Which, some people are like, oh, she's just acting like herself. I'm like, no, I've seen her act in other stuff, so um yeah, like it did like feel like a genuine appearance of the 13th Doctor, so I really enjoyed that. Hmm. And of course she makes the comment, I don't like it.
Yep.
Just like the
Yes, she
second
does do
Doctor.
the classic line.
It's like one of my favorite
Uh,
lines from the five Doctors, so
she also so heavily like that scene foreshadows the ending so much when you know what's
mhm.
coming. Like at first I was like, oh yeah, bring back a female doctor and then regenerate to a female doctor. That's simple. But what I didn't notice, somehow I missed it on my first viewing because I'm not somebody who can sit down and watch something for an hour and not multitask.
Mhm.
Um, but they kind of slyly reference the whole like Bad Wolf Bay scene with the like the Rose Tyler they're talking about like, oh, I never say I love you, I should say it to Yaz, and I'm like, how did I not pick up that was a Rose Tyler reference? um and then of course that happens.
Mm.
All right, Alex, what did you like about this episode?
Uh, let's see if it'll actually let me bloody paste it this time. Uh,
So,
Oh,
I was
oh,
going to say, you have
oh,
something
damn it.
selected, which is going to interfere with that. I've noticed I often have to click on the white space before I can paste
Hmm.
anything.
There we go.
Ha!
The looms are probably canon now.
Ren would have been
Thank
so
God.
mad. Although I did notice,
like,
I was confused by. Oh, sorry. I'll let you talk and then I'll respond.
like, like if I'm quite honest, like I can kind of get why people don't like them, but I love them because they make the Doctor and the Time Lords in general more alien. And I fucking hate how it's just like, oh yeah, they just, normal human pregnancy shit. And it's like, I kind of prefer the idea that the one massive downside to gaining all this power and the ability to time travel and regenerate and shit just effectively makes them infertile. And the idea that, like, I've seen people posit that they're saying that what the master did made them infertile, but
Yeah,
that
they
would
they they
mean that it
implied that at one.
only that makes it sound like that, but I think it's more when they became Time Lords instead of just being ordinary Gallifreyans.
So they
That is what
specifically
made them
say
infertile.
genetic bomb, and I can't
Mm,
find any reference to that. So I think they're just like
yeah,
interpreting it
especially
as like the master did a genetic bomb, but I don't understand how that
yeah,
would have made the doctor sterile.
especially
But
because
they
it
talk about like
is
Durrani survived a genetic bomb.
yeah, like that to me says like because if it was um like the way the Rani seems like she's wording it, it can't have been what the Master did because why the hell would she have been on Gallifrey? And if it affected all of them, then 13 would have felt that. Like, despite not being there, it would have affected her. So to me, that came off
Yeah.
more as whatever happened that changed their genetic structure permanently made that happen. Especially because the Rani is saying it didn't kill us, but it made us
Mhm.
infertile. And
And
I'm like,
yeah,
that sounded
I
like
think
broad strokes, not literally the
I
only two Time Lords in the room.
I think that was a scripting error because they say
Yeah.
one that they like the way Ronnie survived was when the genetic
Mm.
bomb hit, and she, did science stuff with her DNA to protect herself from the genetic bomb. And then
Mm.
later on, they say the genetic bomb didn't kill them, but it made them infertile.
Yeah.
So
So that,
that is implying
yeah.
that the genetic bomb is what killed the other Time Lords, which would mean it was what the Master did. But again,
Mm.
it shouldn't have affected the Doctor who was on Earth. So I
Yeah.
don't. It's a weird connection that
Yeah.
I don't think they fully
So, yeah,
thought
yeah.
through.
Which, given that these seasons seem like they were written in a rush, wouldn't surprise me.
Hmm.
But the general implication of hooray, the looms might actually be canon now is like, oh, thank God, I actually prefer that.
So,
Now, mind you,
hmm
that makes the relationship between the Doctor and Susan a bit wonky
yeah,
because of how relationships work with the worms, with the looms. I mean, but at the same time, you know, you can basically say that they just like it's more of an affectionate term to differentiate age gaps than like
mhm.
literally he is her uh grandparent.
It- I feel like if they intentionally were specifically not canonizing the looms, they could have made that a joke. Like Mel could have been like, "Oh, you could put your DNA in some sort of genetic loom, just like as like a wink wink nudge nudge," but they didn't, which
Mm,
implies that it's not a joke.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
so
it
mhm.
does kind of lead credence as well to the Ronnie last time being like, like I sprang from I sprang from your loins. That's not how we do that.
Right, right. Which that makes more sense if they were always infertile, if they were always sterile, as compared to
Yeah.
that having happened recently.
Yeah.
This point definitely would have been on Rand's least favorite things
Oh
if he were
yeah,
with us
absolutely.
still. We've had so many conversations about this, and he adamantly did not want it to be canon. So I was saying in our chat, I was having trouble finding things for any of these categories because everything that I disliked, I liked something about it, and everything I liked, I disliked something about it. But then I realized I have no problems with the inclusion of Anita. And I was going to just kind of say like the idea of this is a really nice cap on the era that we've had. It wasn't just the 2 seasons, but it was also both Christmas specials. It kind of wrapped everything up in a nice bow. Not everything was perfect, but it acknowledged like all of the companions and pseudo companions of the that this Doctor has dealt with, including Unit, etc. But I realized like
Yeah.
just including Anita is kind of enough of a favorite thing. I don't really have any criticism. I mean, as a human being, I can say, yes, I don't like the fact that her HR person was impregnating employees. Like, I take it, but that's not a writing issue.
Yeah.
That's not a story
Yeah.
problem.
And at
That's
least
an issue from like business ethics.
yeah, and like it's it's not as bad as like the implication of the relationship between Kate and one of her subordinates
Right.
from
Which
Unit,
actually, yeah,
'cause
that
that's just
kind
straight up
of,
the person running the whole thing and
right.
someone that works under her.
Yeah. Good point. I didn't connect those
Yeah.
two subplots, but there's
Whereas
definitely a connection
yeah,
there.
like whereas at least like HR, for all we know, Anita might have written up to be like at least on level
Mm-hmm.
with that. Um but also yeah, I guess especially realizing as this was getting close to its ending that oh okay, this is the end of Shooty's run. It makes sense to
Right.
reference the
Um.
the like one
Yep.
special he got in between seasons.
And if these weren't produced as quickly as they were, then I would say, they did the Christmas special and they realized how popular Anita was and decided to write her into the finale. But this was filmed before anyone in the audience saw that, so
Yeah.
maybe they got test audience reactions, but no real audience, no general audiences
Mm,
had seen Anita before they wrote this episode. So maybe they knew what they had
mm,
going into that.
yeah.
But yeah, I thought we were never going to see her again until Big Finish hired her.
Mm.
Um, but she ends up, playing a major role and addressing what could have been a challenging situation for the episode.
Mm.
All right, what do we dislike about this episode? Starting with Aaron.
Hmm. Um, let's see here. I also had quite a few things. Hmm. I guess I really kind of just don't like Poppy in this. I don't understand why she's here. She's on another planet in the far future being taken care of. Oh, it's fine and dandy. Why does she have to be here? Like,
Yeah.
I think honestly, I think that she was supposed to be maybe not her, but like another little girl was supposed to be the stand-in for like the timeless child. I think this was supposed to be a reference to the timeless child. And I think the Doctor was originally in some kind of previous incarnation of the script was supposed to be rescuing himself, which would have been kind of cool. And that in, a wibbly wobbly, timey wimey way.
Mm.
But I
Not even
just
not even gonna lie. I don't I don't know how it would have made sense, but for a sec I almost thought it was gonna be like I mean, given some of the things she's referenced that she shouldn't know, I almost thought it was going to turn out to be Belinda.
Yeah.
Like Poppy was going to be Belinda as a kid somehow. Like maybe the twist was going to be she was also a Time Lord.
I was going to say she would have to be. That means she regenerated at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be kind of cool too. You know, like not all the Time Lords are dead, and you don't just have to rely on the Master and Ronnie and all of them.
Yeah.
Well, hell, if in the Moffat era you could just, if two humans have sex in the TARDIS, you get a quasi Time Lord. I know there were theories like they're like, oh, this is Susan's mother.
I thought it was also supposed to be Susan's mother, which would have still been awkward, but at least it would have worked into the lore. This just feels like a total waste of time, honestly.
Yeah.
And then he abandons. What happened? He destroys the other universe, or he just abandons the other universe? So now we're skipping universes. So
he like shifts over from one reality to another.
I mean,
so he leaves the Belinda who wants to travel with him, and is wondering what happened to Poppy, to see the Belinda that always had Poppy, and then decides to regenerate without us knowing which one he's in. Although it is implied, since the Belinda with Poppy traveled with a version of the Doctor, I'm assuming he went back to the main reality, to the new reality, because otherwise there would be two versions of the Doctor around. But I mean, with the bi-generation being canon, like there's who knows how many Doctors around.
I mean, to be honest, my assumption there was that he effectively merged them to fix the glitches or something. But yeah, it's very wibbly wobbly timing.
Yeah, it's really weird. And then of course it also kind of explains, going to Rose Tyler's universe too. I mean, if they wanted to, they could visit Rose Tyler, right, with the Cybermen and stuff, or I can't remember how that all wound up. I know that she comes back to help fight in the fourth series
thing.
with Donna and that, but like I can't remember what happens to Rose after all that.
The walls between realities were breaking down because Davros was basically going to wipe out all of existence in all realities. So that made the walls between realities thin enough that Rose Tyler could use Torchwood technology to travel between universes, trying to get back to the main one.
So I wonder.
I find it hard to believe that like the Doctor's regeneration energy was strong enough to change the whole universe. Which is why I see it more as him like traveling between realities, between dimensions. The merging thing would be a bit like, I feel like that would be a bit extreme. But given the fact like he left Earth and they were like, yeah, reality is kind of broken. Things just kind of, fall through tables now, and it's just the way things are.
It feels like it's almost like Poppy and Belinda weren't even supposed to be in this story. Like I think it's not just Belinda. I think it's also, you could probably take Poppy out of it too, and then just have Ruby leading a resistance against this alternate reality that Conrad has created.
It does kind of feel like the two plot lines are kind of distinct from one another. It's a lot, but it's a lot like Sutek and Ruby's mother not really lining up with each other super well. I disagree about them like being intended, because like if you look back at it, like I mean, it was kind of dismissed as like an off the wall conspiracy theory at the time, but like Poppy calling Doctor Daddy turned out to be foreshadowing. I don't think that was one of the things that changed in between writing episode 1 and writing the next season. Although we do know that it clearly, like, I mean, Russell T Davies hadn't even decided that Mrs. Flood was the Ronnie yet when writing season 1, and then made that decision writing season 2.
Maybe he
So
saw the
based on that, we know that there were a lot of changes.
Yeah. I mean, Shooty has said that in one of the Doctor Who Unleashed, probably for Wish World, that it's like, oh, I told Russell that I want to fight the Rani at some point. So this could have been long-term builds. This could have been something he decided after season 1. Who knows?
Maybe he saw the conspiracy theory floating around during season 1 about home Mrs. Flood and the Ronnie anagram for Ring.
Season 2 was already done filming by the time season 1 aired.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have just been a matter of Shooty bringing up that he wanted to face Ronnie, and Russell just kind of running with that. But I forget if he said how early he did figure that out.
I don't think he specifically said, other than the fact that, I mean, it would have had to have. I mean, I think it was after the Christmas special was written, because the fourth wall breaking is not addressed at all.
Right, yeah.
Okay, Alex, what did you dislike?
Oh, bugger, I was going to try and find an image, because I'm forgetting what I was going to... Because I was almost just going to go with the brief Belinda again, but then I'm like, I kind of got out of my system earlier, so... Let's see. God, what was it? Oh, okay. Actually, yeah. Or is that more of a scene? Oh, you know what? I'll just go with the fact that, like, this was basically the last finale again. In terms of, wow, we dealt with the the big bad in, like, seconds, didn't we? Like, the Ronnies just immediately...
They didn't deal with I mean, the Ronnie kind of did herself in.
Yeah. Like, it was effectively like, oh, well, that resolved itself very quick, so we can just have, like, an extended epilogue.
And
I mean, they approached it differently. But it ultimately felt like, so we got that Ronnie for an episode, and maybe, and then suddenly we've got, she gets eaten by Omega, and then Omega gets immediately defeated, and then that's it. And then, like, 20 minutes of epilogue, it felt like.
Yeah.
So it's just like...
I've been like, I'm kind of thinking about, like, going back through it, because, like, a lot of Doctor Who episodes, they do the thing of, like, just rising tension, and then 5 minutes before the end of the last episode, they they have the climax and deal with the big bad. To the point where in classic Who, a lot of the time I was like, damn, I blinked and I missed it. But you notice, like, these season finales, like, you can go back to, I mean, the original Russell era, the Moffat era, probably Chibnall as well. The season finales, very often, they're like, it's a lot more Campbellian. There's, okay, you deal with, you finish the big bad, like, halfway through part 2 of the finale, or, like, 2/3 of the way through the finale, and then you have 20 minutes of the return home section of, like, the saying goodbye to all of the people who were part of the episode, or regenerating, of course. End of time, going and visiting everybody the Doctor's ever known. Finding Ruby's mother, or going off and finding alternate universe Belinda. These season finales have these long extended, like, post, what you're calling epilogue, but I mean, it's very Lord of the Rings in that sense, with the actually not having the climax be close to the end of the episode. And I feel like I mean, at least in the recent ones, it's been criticized because what comes after the climax is not as interesting in a lot of cases. And of course, like I've noticed, especially since Game of Thrones, with the White Walkers being dealt with before the Lannisters, like people have lost tolerance for that sort of storytelling. They're like, we want the highest tension thing to be the very last thing dealt with. And I don't think these season finales have been doing that.
Yeah, for me, it's a matter of like, you look at, I guess, to make a Russell comparison, the Master is set up in Utopia and then has 2 full episodes. This was tacked on to the end of Interstellar Song Contest as like a mid-credits. And the Doctor doesn't realize the Rani is back until like pretty much most of the way through, until like the end of the end of Wishworld is when he finally wakes up and realizes, oh, this is what's happening. Oh no, it's the Rani. So like, yeah, we technically get a full episode of her, but not really, because we're also trying to juggle all this other stuff. So it feels like we get bugger all of either of the Ranis, which
Do you
probably
think Mrs. Flood is going to regenerate into Archie Panjabi again?
Yeah, I don't know what the
She
fuck's gonna
regenerates into
happen.
Kate O'Mara.
That would be very difficult.
God, please no. Yeah.
Kate O'Mara is kind of, well,
Yeah.
not quite. She's probably in a better condition than Omega at this point because it's been years.
I mean,
I don't know how long it takes the body to decompose.
That doesn't stop technology.
God.
I would hope Doctor Who wouldn't do that. But yeah, I just it's also annoying because it's like when the Master first came back in New Who, he was the sole villain. Like, yeah, he had the Toclafane. I'm shocked that I remember that because it's been forever since I've watched those episodes. But he had those, but they were basically lackeys.
Right.
This is like,
he made them.
Yeah, and it's like, aha, I'm going to bring back Omega. And then immediately that backfires and it's like, oh, okay, what was the point of that? Like, I would have just preferred it just being the Rani and not doing the Omega stuff, because the Omega stuff was so it was like an interesting drop and then basically nothing happens. So it's like, oh, never mind.
And I think we might have mentioned this in our predictions last week, but the Omega stuff turned out to like basically be making it into a master plot. Because about 75% of Master episodes are the Master aligns with some sort of alien force to defeat the Doctor, take over the world, what have you, and then they betray him at the end, and that's how he's defeated.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens with the Rani here.
Yep. I mean, to be fair, she's at least smart enough to be like, no, I'm not going to bow down to
She tries
Omega,
to assemble a
but
cabinet
also,
at him.
yeah. Yeah, it's just like it. I would at that point I would have much rather, if the Rani was going to be done at all, that she'd just have a different end goal that didn't involve Omega. So it was like the stakes were maybe a bit lower, and it was something that you could have, at least something that it would have made sense to have resolved this quickly. That wasn't just, wow, lucky that I conveniently have a thing here that I can immediately blast you with. Yeah, it felt very same as last season.
What's so fun? Like, normally the doctor, in most stories, the doctor would have specifically planned, like, oh, if Omega comes through and things really go bad, I know that the Vindicator is there. The Ronnie literally showed it to me. But
Yeah.
Shurigatwa's acting is normally like, if that was the intention, we would have seen it on his face.
Yeah.
And his portrayal was really just like, oh, I'm completely at a loss. Oh, I bumped into this thing that I already knew was here, and that's not really the doctor. I wonder if
Yeah.
that's an area where the intention of the script and the actor and director ended up, well, no, because it was written by Russell T Davies, and he was definitely there when they were filming it. He could have just said, oh, you already knew it was there, if that was his intention.
Yeah, because even Patrick Troughton, who's kind of a more incidental doctor who plays really well at being helpless until he sees something at last minute that he really needs, even he would
And yeah,
probably identified it.
it's very much, he very often acts like a fool and then has a plan the whole time.
Yeah. Which are like effectively, to a degree, that's kind of what uh 7 effectively turned into, where you'd find out, oh no, he'd basically won before the story even
Yep.
started.
I would also, uh David Tennant, oh, you shouldn't have let me press all those buttons. Although granted, that was written as a Sylvester McCoy story in the original
Mm,
draft.
yeah.
All right, so for what I disliked about this story, I am going to go with Conrad's treatment of the story. Uh, this is not my least favorite scene, but one of the scenes I was considering for least favorite was the whole like sexual scene with Conrad and the Ronnie, um, where like she does the whole thing of like basically like he's barely restraining himself from jumping his bones. Um, despite the fact that like a scene or two later she was just like, oh, a human and a time lord, that's disgusting, that's basically
Mm.
bestiality. But there's also like there's that, and there's also like he, the way he winds up, like, I get, it, everything. If the good guys are not getting their good ending, why the fuck is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
um
To me, the scene with the Ronnie, I actually kind of loved that, because it was like, of course, this guy who talks a big game, when it's presented with a strong woman, immediately crumbles and is like, basically goes into like mummy sorry mode.
and a last thing, like, this isn't really part of it because this is more of a a what they didn't do rather than what they did do. But it would have been really cool if part of how they hinted at the Bone Palace being the TARDIS was if he had actually tried to shoot at Ruby, but the whole what do they call that? One second. See if Google is not going to help me. But like, the TARDIS is supposed, oh, there we go. The state of temporal grace in the TARDIS is supposed to like stop weapons from being discharged, even though it doesn't work in some stories because it is entirely depending on what the writer wants and whatever. But if the TARDIS had managed to stop him from shooting Ruby, and they just wrote it off as, oh damn, the gun jammed, and then you later realize that's the TARDIS, like, that would have been cool. But I'm not going to hold it against them for not doing that. But that's part of the treatment of Conrad. All right, favorite scenes, Aaron.
See here. Mel shouting, I've been a housewife. Like, she arrives on this great arrival on a bike and everything, and it's just. I found it to be a lot of fun. So, like, and I really enjoy the fact that they brought Mel back, because I've been watching some of her older episodes, and I forgot how much I liked how much of a breath of fresh air she was compared to Perry. And that just kind of bubbly and
You really don't
really,
like Perry, huh?
I really just and
You
there's
really
no
you really and actually I guess you also really liked the screaming.
I don't think I
Thinking of
like the
Mel's time in the early in
screaming.
the 80s.
Nah, but like Mel at least well, while Perry, she wasn't quite a shrinking violet, but she seemed scared of everything, and at least Mel was adventurous and willing to go out and try to solve some of the problems that were out there. That was out there. So, and you can't blame Nicola Bryant for that either. I think she did her best with what she was given, just like Colin Baker did his best. So, because Colin Baker used to be I used to hate Colin Baker as the Doctor, and now I've come to kind of accept him as just kind of it's just how things were, and it's
Yeah.
not his fault,
The,
like
the,
how
the
those
doctor
scripts were
that
written.
traumatized Perry and made her scared of everything by choking the shit out of her.
Yeah, that's traumatized me too as a kid. And I'm like, I don't think I like this doctor. Because he does kind of bring that sharp Colin Baker does kind of bring that sharp edge to like the rest of his stuff, but uh like Mel seems to really kind of sand all those sharp edges down. I really, like I said, I forgot how much I enjoyed her as a companion after Perry left, but I don't think I got to see much of her either right away. Like I think I caught most of her stuff on VHS because by the time that was coming out, like it was winding down on PBS, which is where I usually watched it.
Hmm. By the way, apparently there's no action. There's pretty much nothing on the internet yet of Mel from this episode. So I got the picture of her glaring at the Ronnie, but that's not the scene you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Although, as we discussed earlier, like that scene does contradict a line from the previous episode, but who can keep a track of it? It's not like it was written by the same person and was literally the first part
Well,
of the same story or anything.
unless she's referring to housewife as an archetype and not as a literal housewife.
I
She's
could see it being like she meant an archetype rather than
the
literal.
the
But
diligent reporter, like computer programmer type adventurer. So I was an
Be right back
adventurer.
one
Took it.
second. My fan just died, so I'm gonna go grab my other fan.
Oh God, don't die. I was an adventurer too until I took an arrow in the knee. Which apparently that has an alternate meaning. Did you know that, Alex?
Hmm?
Taking an arrow to the knee doesn't
Oh
necessarily.
yeah, if
Yeah.
I remember right, that was like marriage or something.
Yep. Mm-hmm. A
What was
euphemism for
marriage?
marriage.
The take an arrow to the knee joke from Skyrim
Ah.
technically just meant you got married.
Mm. All right. Alex, what was your favorite scene?
Da, 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 da. I'm gonna go with we kind of discussed it before, but I'm gonna go with the Jody scene. Because it was just nice to have that. Now I've seen people generally be like overly salty towards Chibnall for this. Of like, huh, see, it really does show that you needed a better writer, and I'm like, she's there for like a
She
minute.
was written
Shut
the
up.
exact same way she was
Yeah,
always written.
like how she was written was never the issue. Like the issue people had was the story she
Oh,
was
you know what?
in, not
I could see people salty about like, because then she's like, "Oh, I should tell Yaz that," and we're like, "Okay, that could definitely be interpreted as a criticism of Chibnall's writing."
Hmm.
Mm. Well, the funny thing is she says that like she generally, like when the like to me that's him getting an understanding of how she was being written because she was written as a emotionally closed off
Mhm.
doctor. Like when Shooty says I love you, she turns around and is like, "Oh, we do that now?" Like we actually say that now. Like I didn't. And he's like, yeah, that's because I got better, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
They they have they do also address a criticism of RTD with mentioning, oh, I'm surprised it's not David.
yeah, I'm surprised it's not the other one. He's always showing up. Yeah.
Which, I mean, it is kind of weird that he's not in this two-parter at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Like,
should be. There's the 14th Doctor. What's the 14th Doctor doing this whole time?
Yeah.
I guess Conrad had trouble imagining him. Oh,
Yeah.
Conrad doesn't know about bi-generation. He only believes in straight generation. Oh.
I mean, I almost would have. I almost think like You know what? I almost wonder if this had been Ruby the whole time in this entire season, that maybe Tenet was originally planned to come back for Wish World, and then when he remembered who he was, he would have snapped back to Shooty as kind of a, well, I can't imagine the Doctor being in an interracial relationship. That's a big no-no for Conrad. So he would revert back to one
He
of the
would
white
degenerate
versions of
or
the Doctor.
something?
Yeah,
That is
it's
like, I
sort of like
remember.
visually change
Mhm,
rather than like full-blown change.
mhm. Like, I remember, like, the claim was always like, oh, RTD wrote like in a colorblind way, like he didn't acknowledge racial differences, or and like, I almost, kind of makes me wonder if like that ends up, kind of the fact that the only super obvious POC in the story are hooked up together, becomes a
Mm,
complete coincidence.
yeah.
I'm not sure, especially in England, if Lebanese would be considered POC
Hmm.
with the whole Kate relationship, but
I think it's a thing of either A, Conrad couldn't distinguish, or so it's a commentary on him being like, well, you're white passing enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or he just didn't know.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, also it's just a, you know,
Yeah, it's easy to say that you're thinking more deeply about it than RTD did, but I'm honestly not
mm,
sure.
yeah.
And now we're to me, and I still actually wait. I just remembered a scene. There's no way there's anything of this online, because it's something people would have intentionally not wanted to spoil. Uh, but Anita going through time and like seeing these different scenes from the Doctor. Um, what was it? Planet of the Daleks, and I think it was Silver Nemesis. Like, I thought that
Possibly.
was really cool to include.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a little weird at the time, and now that I know it's a regeneration story, it makes more sense that like
Yeah.
there's multiple references to past Doctors in this episode.
Mm.
Um, although I still don't get the one where he's like, TARDIS, why are you showing me my former faces? Like that's still a bit weird. But the one of like Anita going through and being like, oh yeah, now I'm learning about the Doctor and seeing these past episodes, like I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It was really kind of sad to see her look at Rogue and be like, oh, okay, so this is. Because then that kind of confirms that she had feelings for him, which makes the Christmas episode, or at least that part of the Christmas episode, all the more sad. Like when he leaves her, and like you see, definitely for sure that she had feelings for him, and then she sees him in Rogue,
Yeah,
and she's like, "Oh, he's never going to want me as a life partner. Not if he's going after this dude."
which I mean, RTD does know that bisexual people exist, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
like, I know that's
I
a
mean, he
common
wrote
thing
one.
that comes up in media. Like,
Yeah.
just because someone's dancing with a man doesn't mean they don't want to dance with a woman.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, like he literally has written by/pan characters before. So, now, arguably, technically, the Doctor is either that or the Doctor is just generally sexually fluid and it changes
Right.
depending on the regeneration.
Yeah. I was about to go off on like a real world comparison, but I think that would be neither here nor there.
You got an image
Also,
for
like
us?
10% of my brain is dedicated to trying to find
Oh.
that scene of Planet of the Daleks that Anita witnessed, and I'm not seeing it.
I was gonna
Uh,
say I noticed that you didn't have a picture up yet, so.
yeah, because I know that the scene I was talking about definitely is not online anywhere. So I'm like, I wonder if there's a scene from if I can find that scene in Planet of the Daleks with the Doctor lying on the table, but I am not seeing it. Which I'm not like. It looks like it was new footage. It doesn't look like they touched up footage. I think they like made a John Pertwee mannequin or something and just kind of enacted a scene.
It was either that or they tried to like do a 4K remaster on the existing,
Right.
which is why it might have looked a little off.
Mm-hmm. And at first, I was like, "Oh, did they get Matt Smith back and film new scenes?" But I'm like, "No, actually, I think that might be a scene from Silver Nemesis." Um, or like maybe they took like a green screen of Matt and like just kind of moved the room around him. I
Yeah,
doubt
or
they had Matt
like
Smith come back and film
yeah,
10 seconds of footage.
yeah, like or depending on how many cameras they shot whatever that scene was from, they might have got like a different angle if they were able to.
I
That might have been kept
unless
around.
this differed from era to era, Doctor Who is shot with
Mm.
one camera.
Ah.
So like anytime there's multiple angles, that means they had to do the scene multiple times. I know that for sure about the RTD era because it was a Doctor Who Confidential mentioned it. I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's the same for the Moffat era, but I don't know that for certain.
It wouldn't shock me if the Chibnall era changed that because he went to a more cinematic presentation in the visuals. Even like not necessarily like getting
The,
ridiculous with the amount of
with
cameras, but
TV
even
stuff,
just
they
more than
normally
one.
refer to using one camera as cinematic and four cameras as like sitcom. So,
Ah. But I
because the
guess
point,
even just so,
yeah,
yeah, I guess even just if it was a matter of having two so they could just shoot like two people talking to each other and not have to
right.
do multiple takes.
God, imagine acting that and there's just like two cameras in between you, but you're still having to have the conversation. Like both of you just look at the cameras, neither of you look at each other. All right, least favorite scenes. Aaron.
Okay. Wow, someone already has theirs up. Jeez.
Yeah, I did that before the podcast, but that has not been the case for any of the others.
um.
It was
Oh.
the one thing I knew.
Oh, I know exactly which one. They have the budget to show the Doctor flying off on one of those standing scooters from, like, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Um. But they don't have the budget
Or Flash
to,
Gordon.
or Flash Gordon. They don't have the budget to show Shirley's wheelchair taking off at top speed. Like, actually work that
Yeah.
in. All you do is see her shoot off,
Mm.
like, in a close up, and then you see flaming tire tracks behind where she's been.
Yeah, at first
Mm.
I thought she flew away until I saw like the flaming skid marks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, this is terrible. What? This is like a Disney budget. Like, they have budget for
Yeah.
all this other stuff, and yet they skimp on that.
Yeah, that to me says the money went to everything else, and then maybe that was like an afterthought idea of like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if we actually did this?
Hey, Shirley's in
Oh,
this
but we've already
episode.
yeah, like, oh crap, we spent all the money elsewhere, so I guess we should probably, I guess we'll just do this as an off-screen thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which all I can think about is that maybe if they tried to do that practically, it would have like messed with the wheelchair. Like even if they had like someone else instead of the actor in the wheelchair to do the stunt, because it would have had to effectively been a stunt. Because trying to make a wheelchair go faster than it probably should be is probably
I
a
wonder
recipe
if
for
they tried and
disaster.
it looked goofy because yeah, if this were a normal person moving as fast as that wheelchair, that person would
Mm.
basically be thrown backward against the wheelchair and look like, like a crash dummy. And
Right.
that probably wouldn't be great for what they're portraying. So
Yeah.
I
Like,
wonder if they tried it and they like, but I mean, there's ways around that, so I don't know.
yeah. You could like, I guess you could like film her against a green screen and then like have footage of the stuff going at a
Mhm.
faster pace.
No,
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what they do with stuff like the
mhm.
Flash and Quicksilver and
Right.
that.
Yeah, like basically be unrealistic intentionally.
Or
I
have
kind
Yeah,
of wonder if they just thought that looked cooler.
hmm. Or have
possibly.
a picture of a wheel spinning really, really fast.
Mhm.
And that
Mm.
have a close up
Ah,
of the wheel itself just spinning really, really fast, and then have her zoom towards the camera, and then you just see the flaming tire tracks.
Yeah.
but yeah, fair enough. Alex, what was your least favorite scene?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Let's see. Can I find an image for it? Um, Mind you, I think we technically already had one. Uh, so I mean, I'll just. Oh no, that's too damn small. Guess that'll do. Back to this. Belinda getting shoved in the uh in that box because it's just like, no. Like, just basically an extension of my previous rant of like, no. We can only have one companion right now, so we need to shove you in a box for the rest of the episode, basically.
Mm-hmm.
At least the rest of the thing until
The rest of
the
the Ronnie
quote
part,
unquote,
yeah.
yeah, the rest of the Ronnie section, and it's just like it was either going to be that or a scene that I'll probably bring up, given I know it's not Bill's, but I'll wait until after Bill's given theirs. And just like, wow, way to like. Belinda's run in a nutshell. Let's shove her in a box because she's not important right now. Like, fucking hell,
Oh no,
Russell,
she's showing
do better.
characterization. Quick, get rid of her.
Yeah.
What they should have done, yeah, I mean there were three, not counting the baby. There were
Mm,
three main antagonists. I mean, well,
mm,
four once you count Omega, because that's not what ended up happening.
yeah.
The Doctor dealt with, you know, Sexy Ronnie and Omega.
Mm,
Uh, Ruby dealt with Conrad and the baby. There should have been
mm,
some sort of confrontation between Belinda and Mrs. Flood. I don't know what,
yeah.
but it would have evened things out.
Mm,
Especially since Belinda was, did the whole like she's my neighbor too. So like
yeah.
it's set her up as, having some sort of relationship with Mrs. Flood that
Mm,
does not get paid off. We're both trying to move the same image at the same
yeah.
time.
That works.
All right, so yeah, so mine is the Omega scene, and there's a few things about it. One is like, I can't imagine they thought that looked good. Like Sutek, I remember we talked. I don't remember all the details of what we talked about Sutek, but at least that kind of looked badass. Like
Yeah.
here, he looks like a zombie. He looks like he's supposed to be a god of death. We already had a god of death. He
Yeah.
wants to be a god of time. Why is he just straight up eating people instead of like sucking their energy or something? Like,
Yeah, like that sucking up her energy would have made far more sense
yeah,
than eating
like
her.
super aging her by stealing her Artron
Yeah.
energy or something.
Or
That would have
turning
made
her into a
sense.
baby, stealing her future like the angels do, and
Yeah,
but
yeah, true.
instead of displacing her, he just turns her into a baby. This episode is very baby heavy,
Yeah.
I,
pregnancy heavy. So why not
I
just add
just
more?
realized maybe it was a Kronos reference, and now she like is alive in his stomach until the next Omega episode. But that would be weird. I mean, it's
Yeah.
already 4. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, and also, like, if you're going to make it look like a desiccated corpse of Omega, could it at least look like one of the versions of scene? Like,
Yeah,
maybe he's supposed to vaguely look like a skeletal version of the Arc of Infinity, like Omega, maybe.
like
But like, it's hard
the
to
main thing
tell.
he looks like is like those like devolved humans. I forget if it's the ones from Orc 55 or from Utopia. But like one of those. I think I don't know.
I'd say Orphan 55, yeah, not
Yeah,
the future humans with the like blade teeth and shit.
that's right. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like the
Um,
things from Orphan 55 more than anything. We
yeah.
already talked about the Vindicator thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm,
the fact that I mean, yeah, like the Ronnie kind of just being beaten by her own thing. Like I don't know,
yeah.
her being eaten is like it seems more comical than suspenseful.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
although it was funny when Mrs. Flood was just like, "Nope, I'm fucking off. I'm gone."
Yeah. Yeah, like
But
if I'm quite honest, the main issue I have with this scene, it's why I went with the because this otherwise probably would have been mine. So I was like, knowing that you've already had that in the barrel, I was like, okay, I'll pick something else so I don't steal yours. The main thing issue I had with it was also just a matter of if we were gonna do this to any of them, the first POC Rani gets eaten. And that's
Oh
it. She's
yeah.
there for like
Mm-hmm.
an episode and a half, and she's immediately written off, and the white woman stays.
So
Again,
it isn't just
was that
companions.
intention? Like, yeah. So it's like, was that intentional? No, but the optics are bad, Russell. Like, Jesus. Like, maybe
also,
that's me. Again, I'm a white person. Maybe this is me overthinking it. I don't know what like the actual communities affected a feeling, and I don't speak on their behalf, but it's also just like really weird optics to be like, oh hey,
right.
a woman playing the Rani where the name actually makes sense
I
for a
mean
change,
the
and they
first Black
immediately write
Doctor
her
is
out.
kind of a race too, in
Yeah.
a way.
Um, but the other thing about this is so weird, like, and maybe this could have even just been a least favorite thing instead of just one scene, but like, the doctor is like, legends say they locked him away because he was mad. Bitch, your legends. You
Yeah.
you you fought him
Mm-hmm.
twice. What do you mean legends say? Like,
Yeah, like
Kate remembers
especially
him and she wasn't even
right.
there.
And like in this even in this scene he says remember me. So it's like yeah, so yeah, like hello.
But
You didn't
kind of
and the
connected
funny
to
thing
that is like after millennia, okay, he became
mm,
human but hollow inside. Sure, he created his body out of
yeah.
will. Not human, but humanoid, human shaped.
Yeah.
Same thing, Arc of Infinity. He's in a different costume, but he's functionally the same as he was in the Three Doctors.
Yeah.
It has, I mean, maybe the Time War with, I mean, if you explain it as being like, oh yeah, the energy of the chaos gods kind of made everything, wishes became reality and all that, sure. But he's just like, oh yeah, living in what was it, the underverse, or
Yeah.
is that right? Living in the underverse made him turn into this. Why didn't it turn him into that before? Like, this is kind of the same thing of like, oh yeah, we took Sutek, who was kind of humanoid with a cool design, and we made him into a jackal bat.
Yeah.
And now we take somebody who's humanoid with a kind of cool design and make him into a zombie, a giant zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For just no fucking reason. It doesn't look cool.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It
I almost wonder if that's them just trying to make a differentiation of he escaped the antimatter universe and ended up in a different one. Is that what we're saying? Because they didn't bring up the antimatter universe at all, unless that's what the underverse is.
yeah, I think they're just kind of lumping it in together as the same thing.
Yeah. Because
Like
it feels like it's supposed to be he ended up in a different thing. He escaped one, ended up in another, and that's what messed with him. But even then, it's still like, just have it be a human-sized person.
Yeah. Like they did him so dirty. Like they should have literally just had the Ronnie and Conrad. And honestly, they don't really need Conrad. They could have just used the Ronnie's wishes. Like she's studied Earth enough. She just have her study like 1950s Earth and have everybody live like that. Or build a new Gallifrey from her own wishes or something like that. So, and then have Omega come back and fight the next Doctor or something.
I mean, like, I feel like the talks about like that like Omega was not a main character in this episode. I think some of what's been said like kind of gives him too much credit. He shows up for one scene, gets shot in the face, and gets put back in his hole.
Yeah.
So like his role could have been filled by like a malfunctioning machine that accidentally like a poorly made loom that sucks in the Ronnie and like turns her into a raw genetic material. Actually, that would have been more effective. But that's part of it too. Why the fuck does she think he has a body that can be used to make more Time Lords? If he was made of antimatter last time the Time Lords encountered him.
Yeah, like that's why it's a matter of like maybe you should have just wished him back into existence in his original body, or at least for his body to have been brought back in a way that you were able to mess with.
I mean, they like they're basically saying like the wishes aren't permanent. We don't trust the wishes to do anything that matters. The wishes are only made to fuck up reality so that we can kind of like get underneath it.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see why they didn't like based on that explanation. I can see why she didn't just wish for Gallifrey to come back.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know if they give evidence for that. Like, is it supposed to be like the Reality Stone where like you need all of the Infinity Stones in order to make a lasting change, but otherwise it only lasts while you're concentrating about it? Like, that isn't really explored as well.
Yeah.
Maybe if what was his name? You said his name a bunch of times, Aaron. What was the baby's name?
Desidera or something?
There we go.
Desideria or something?
Yeah, Desiderium. If he had been introduced in an earlier episode and then just the Ronnie got hold of him after, there might have been, we might have had more understanding of that. Which I kind of thought it was weird that we only got Lux in this season of the Chaos Gods, which I mean, some people were. Some people. There's always a vocal minority about complaining about literally everything. Like some people were like, "Oh, I can't believe they brought another Chaos God," and they're like, "Yeah, it's a 2-season arc. Why would they just abandon a 2-season arc halfway through? Like, obviously they're bringing another Chaos God." Like I was really
Yeah.
fervently thinking there should have been one in the story and the engine, and
Mm-hmm.
I still
Mm.
don't know if there was or not. Like maybe
Yeah,
they kind
yeah.
of left it ambiguous there.
Mm.
That would have been a good story for there to be like a kind of a hint toward Desiderium showing up without us really understanding the full scope. Because then they
Mm.
wouldn't have need to introduce him later. They could kind of give us a little more information instead.
Mm.
But I feel like that's going off topic, so that's a good time to segue to final thoughts.
Oh,
Aaron,
me.
any yep? What are your final thoughts?
I feel like this was kind of a waste. Like I'm really kind of disappointed in it. Like there's two. It reminds me of like a bad superhero movie where they have too many villains and too many plot threads to try
Mm.
to wrangle. They try to do too much.
Yeah.
It actually kind of almost feels like they thought this was going to be the last season, so they shoehorned all these big villains in towards the end. Like, oh,
Mm.
we're not going to be able to do this for next year. We better get everything in that we can. And so they tried
Mm.
to, and that kind of yes, they read my mind. Yeah, it just kind of became a cluttered mess. Like it didn't feel like enough time was given to anything to really bake and develop
Mm.
very well. So just kind of a rushed, garbled mess. With some interesting twists. There's some interesting ideas. It's not complete garbage and everything, but for a series finale, season finale, um, yeah, I was pretty disappointed in it. So I'm still debating on what rating to give it. Um, man, like how can you like Omega was like is one of those villains that unlike the Master just isn't around very much, and like you screwed him up.
Mm.
Ah,
Yeah.
I'm actually I think I should be more angry about that than I am, but
Mm.
like I
Who do
guess
you
I'm
think they
just
did worse, Sutek or Omega?
Omega. Sutek at least
Mhm.
kind of looked like an Egyptian bat creature type thing. I don't know my Egyptology all that much. I don't know my Egypt mythology or Egyptian mythology all
Mm.
that well. I think he did kind of have the head of one of the gods. He wasn't he like the rat god or the
Mm.
bat god or something like that.
I think
Um,
it's supposed to be a jackal.
Or a jackal, because he has
well,
like
he was a
bat-like wings, doesn't he?
yeah, he was like a Jekyll. Yeah, he had like a Jekyll head bat wings in last season.
Yes, he's
He was
effectively
depicted. Oh, so it
Sutek is set.
basically the actual Egyptian god set. It was kind of like a, at least as far as modern Egyptologists or archaeologists know, it wasn't any real animal. Um,
Mm.
they call it set animal because it's like not actually
Mm.
depicting any, like it doesn't actually the head doesn't actually match any real animal that people can figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, it may have actually been based on something, but
Yeah.
if it seems that they just call it a set animal because they're not
Mm.
sure what it's supposed to be.
Okay, yeah, I mean that could have been more too. I've seen the original Sutek mask was far more terrifying in like
Mhm.
the original version, but Omega was just kind of like with Rassilon. There's a lot of Time Lord lore. We could have figured out how he ties into Timeless Child, and I almost wonder if they didn't know how to handle that. Like, how does he tie into mythology of the Timeless Child and Rassilon and everyone? So, or at least the Timeless Child, I should say. Who created the Timeless Child again? I can't remember her name.
Chris Chibnall.
Oh, no, I mean Chris Chibnall, but like the scientist who
Tech
experimented.
Tecteun was the one
Tecteun
who
is the one that found the timeless child.
yeah,
Okay.
found the time stone, yeah.
And then, as presumably, Omega was the one who experimented on them.
Omega was the one who blew up a star to gain the ability to time travel.
Hmm. I guess, yeah.
So he's considered like both the first Time Lord and the original sin of the Time Lords, because blowing up a star is kind of a shitty thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I remember him from the Fifth Doctor adventure too, where he had, I call him like the snail helmet type thing, because it
Yeah,
looks like
Arc
more
of Infinity I
acceptable.
only watched once, compared to 3 Doctors I've watched at least
Mm.
3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember Arc of Infinity as well.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, that's the one that Tegan comes back like willingly on the TARDIS.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me
Right.
if the timeless child were tormented under Omega's rule in order to find a way to further like extend his life and stuff. It could have all that could have been really kind of cool and deep, and they fucked it up. They screwed it up.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
confront like
Technic-
talking
tech-
about like confronting Omega, knowing about like the history of like the 3 Time Lords. That could have been an interesting thing, like knowing actually knowing like that the Doctor is one of the founders of Time Lord Society, but was like a guinea pig the whole time. Like that could have been an
Mm-hmm.
interesting
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah,
Mm.
like I'm on the same level as you, Omega. If I weren't here, you wouldn't exist, or you wouldn't have had as many lives as you had. They could have they could have brought in Omega, and then they could have brought in Rassilon, like, and have
Mm.
Rassilon confront Omega, and Rassilon and the Doctor actually team up and confront Omega. Like Rassilon's like, "Yeah, I'm the one who limited your power because you're nuts," and that they could find a way, even though all the Time Lords are dead. They brought him
Mm.
back once before.
Yeah, I mean, Rassilon was off-world as far as we know, because he got booted off there by Capaldi. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think there was just a ton of missed opportunities here, not to mention everything that they could have done with the Ronnie and her technology. The
mm.
Ronnie, Belinda could have been like the good scientist versus the Ronnie's bad scientist. You know, if they'd bothered to give Belinda a character, she could have been an awesome, like, companion, like the nurse and the doctor. Are you kidding me? That's actually really kind of cool,
Yeah.
but they just don't know how to write for her character. I don't think they have, like, even. I don't think they even have technical knowledge of how to work in, like, medical information and stuff. Like, I mean, they had it in the
Mm.
one episode. What was it, the
Mhm.
first? Was it the first episode or second one?
Basically a first appearance.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Like,
thought you were going to say the
Yeah,
story in the engine, where they had like
yeah.
basically a like medical drama B plot for 10 minutes.
oh yeah. And then they also had like the blanket and everything that does the X-rays and stuff. She could have,
Hmm.
and like attending to like the deaf girl and the midnight follow up. I can't remember the name of that. The well.
Oh,
Oh,
the
the
well.
In the
well,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, she could, when she's going through all the medical supplies, she could have figured that stuff out herself. And been like, through process of elimination, like, okay, this is to cauterize wounds, this is to do this is to that, this sounds kind of familiar, do you have
Or
anything that
e-
does this?
even if like I could get her like needing to be introduced to future technology, but it would have been really cool. Like the Interstellar Song Contest literally had a medic as one
Yeah.
of the like secondary or tertiary characters.
Yeah.
Why could like that medic never interacted with Belinda at all? They
Mm-hmm.
were just
Yep.
like, oh, thank God we have a medic here who's not Belinda whatsoever. Like Belinda is there to like, say, greet people as they're emerging from like their, the
mm.
med pod, and that's the extent of nursing she does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
She could have shown ambition, like maybe she doesn't want to just be a nurse, maybe she wants to, I don't know, like, well, most people, if they are going to go become a doctor, they usually just go straight into becoming a doctor, but maybe she wants to be a director of nursing or something like that, or look further into her ambitions, like career-wise or family-wise, you know? Maybe paint the fact that she's completely different from the other Belinda we meet, who is the mother of Poppy, you know?
Mm.
Kind of like, be
You
like,
could
oh,
have
no.
mentioned the chef she wants to go on a date with before
Mm,
like the last episode, or like I think it was the very end of Interstellar Song Contest.
Yeah.
Like that was like the most we learned about her life and interests before that.
Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
they had like a great blank slate to work with there, and like they could have really built her up into a very unique interest character. And they didn't. You know, they chose not to. So I don't know. The more I think about it, the more angry I get. So my rating keeps dropping lower and lower. Oh, that's just my 2 cents.
All right, Alex.
Yeah, this is probably, in the grand scheme, one of the worst two-part finales modern era Doctor Who has ever done. In that this is very much Russell trying to lean into his, I don't care if the story doesn't make sense, you just have to get the emotional aspect of it, which is usually what he aimed for. And if you actually thought about the story worth anything, suddenly it would fall apart. But all the emotions there, yeah, this doesn't work. I was in my, I wasn't watching New Who as it was airing initially. I think it had been going for a while before I got into it. But I'm in my 30s now. I'm gonna need a bit more than just emotion to get me through. Like that it sometimes saves stories from being as lowly rated as others would. But my God, he has not changed. His writing has basically not changed since uh since the first run he had. Like, yeah, there's some things that he's more willing to go for, which honestly feels more like, oh, we can do that now, as far as Chibnall leaning more into blatant politics and him going, oh, sweet, we can do that now, so I'll do that. But that's about it. Like, it's worked in some cases, but this is a weaker season than last. I swear to God. Like, and it's not a fault of the actors. I don't think there was a bad actor in any of these episodes. But, like, Jesus. This should have just been 15 and Ruby the whole way. I hate to say that because, like, I like the idea of Belinda, but they just do nothing fucking with her. And then she gets the. Here's a comparison to make that's not an exact 1-to-1, but her send off feels very Leela.
Oh yeah.
Like, but instead of here's a random husband that, what the hell, this came out of nowhere, to here's a baby. Now you go off and raise
Well,
that kid instead of traveling now.
is that the same Belinda? Like, I guess that comes into the question of like, what did the doctor do?
Right,
Because
yeah.
I interpreted it as Belinda is still waiting for him to find out what happened to Poppy, and he's going to go off, regenerate, and never speak to her again.
Yeah, that whole thing just raises more questions than it could ever answer, and it's like, are we going to follow this up? Probably never. So, and we've got the fucking. We haven't discussed it at all, but I do not like the casting of Billy Piper as the 16th Doctor worth shit. Like, that's clearly what it is, because why the hell would the Doctor regenerate into not the Doctor? But it's. That's 15 years too late, maybe I'd say. Maybe that's overleaping, but like, well, it probably is, because I'm of the mind that, like, should it have happened immediately post Tenet? Probably not. But
Right.
this feels like something that either should have happened by now, and now it's too late, to where now it's just a stunt casting. Which I even said this somewhere else. Billy Piper could turn out to end up being written as my favorite Doctor ever, that does not change the fact that this is obvious stunt casting for New Who nostalgia and trying to win back ratings. That's it. Like, that's what this comes off as. And I hate to say that because that's not on Billy. That's on the BBC and Russell.
Russell T.
Like,
Russell reliving his glory days.
yeah, and
See, it's
like I would
at least the way Russell portrays himself is that it's less cynical than that, and it's more like, oh, I like working with Billy, therefore I'm going to stick her in regardless of how much sense it makes. Which is not necessarily good, but it's a less cynical motive than what you just described.
Yeah, like as other people have put out there as well, it's just Joe Martin is right there. You could have done that. Instead, we go white woman with blonde hair, black man, white woman with blonde hair. Great. We get a POC doctor finally, and then we're immediately back to a white person. I mean, at least it's not back to a white man, I guess, but I would have so loved for it to be Joe Martin.
Yeah, I really
That would
like
have
her
been
portrayal
so
as the
great.
Doctor.
Or just like generally, I would have to like double down. I would have generally had a POC doctor regardless of who it was. Like regardless of gender, regardless of anything else, regardless of the specific ethnicity, just another POC doctor right after to be like, no, fuck you. We're doing like this is not going to be a one-off. To make it clear that this is not going to be a one-off in terms of main actor of the show doctors. But instead we've gone back to like at the very least it's a woman, I guess, so we've been like, no, that's not going to be a one-off. But it could have also been either A, plenty of other actresses, or B, did it have to be Billie Piper with blonde hair? Could it have just been what her hair is at the moment, which is like brown or dyed kind of a dark red?
That's something I was going to bring up, is that if it's not a Rose reference, it would make perfect sense if it was like, oh, we just wanted Billie Piper, but it's not related to Rose. She could have just been literally, look different and still, just be Billie Piper. But she's in, with the rose hair, and she's probably going to, I mean, I don't know like how her acting range. She's probably going to smile the same way as Rose and everything else.
Yeah. And we're going to get, and now we're going to have the weird thing of like, she's probably going to meet Rose Noble and be like, oh, hey, haha. And they're going to do something with that. And it'll be like, now you're just reminding me about all the issues with that of like naming the first trans companion, or well, she's not really a full companion, but naming Rose Noble after Rose Tyler, and like, did she actually have agency in picking her chosen name, and or was that a result of the meta crisis shit? But yeah, it's very, I want to like this era, Russell, but you're making it so hard. I hate this so much. Like, it's so baffling to me that I was so much more overall positive on the Chibnall era compared to what we've gotten of Russell again so far. Like, so many decisions that are like, oh, this is why I started to not like your previous run. Oh no, we're doing this again, aren't we?
Yeah, I feel
Oh,
kind of
well.
happily nostalgic that Billie Piper's coming back, but then if she plays it like Rose, that's going to become pretty
Oh, I hope
insufferable
not. Yeah.
pretty quick. It's going to be
Has
pretty
anyone seen her
insufferable.
in anything other than Doctor Who?
I think I saw part of
No.
her in that one 1800s like mystery kind of
Penny
thing.
Dreadful?
Penny Dreadful.
Not Penny Dreadful. It's Ruby, is it Ruby Ridges or something like that. It's let me look at see if I can actually find her filmography here quick. I forgot she had a music career.
Mm-hmm.
All right, take me not to film, television. Ruby and the Smoke, I believe. Sally Lockhart Mysteries. Right? Yeah, it's let me see here. Yes, that's exactly where I saw her. It was on PBS. She was in Ruby and the Smoke, and she played the main character, Sally Lockhart. Was basically kind of the detective of that show, so or the of those stories. So, and she also
Mm.
played a few other ones too. But I think it was Ruby and the Smoke that I saw in 2006.
Mm. I mean, it would be kind of funny if she played it more like the moment when she came back for the 50th.
I was thinking, I was like,
Um,
that is something that, like, it was too of a, like, you know, it was a one episode performance. Like, you can't keep that up for a whole season
oh yeah.
with that same sort of gravity and everything.
Mm.
Um,
Really, yeah. So long as she's not literally written to play it exactly like she played Rose, then I'll be happy at least.
yeah, Wikipedia has her listed under Doctor Who in an undisclosed role cameo episode The Reality War.
Yeah, because they didn't say in the
Mm.
credits that as the
Yeah,
Doctor.
Yeah, they just said
which is weird
introducing
because
Billy Piper.
which is bizarre because like she's already been in the show, so she would have to be the Doctor for introducing to make sense.
Like, she's actually the wish god reincarnated as the Doctor
Oh,
as
God.
punishment for the wish of no more wishes.
Apparently, she's also going to be in Wednesday, the second season of Wednesday.
Hmm.
Now, okay, we're already running late, and now we're looking
Yeah.
up Wikipedia articles about people who are only in the show for half a second.
Yep.
Hmm.
So my final thoughts. I mentioned this earlier, like, there were a lot of parts of this episode that I was very ambivalent on. For example, like the bone creatures, they look cool. They're given a reason for being there. But why the fuck would they look like they're made of bones if their jobs are to, like, go after these weird underverse particles? It just doesn't make any sense. And that's like a really mild one with really no consequence. Um, but that's kind of like everything. Like the ending, I like that it wasn't like I like that it wasn't Susan, but at the same time, why the fuck did we have this whole teasing about Susan
Mm-hmm.
and then never actually address it? I like that it wasn't just a straightforward, oh well, now the Doctor is going to raise Poppy, because that would have been not super
Yeah.
narratively interesting. I don't like the ending ended up with so many questions and everything that I don't know if I like that either. Um, like Belinda seemed like she was really looking forward to another season, and now we're probably never going to see her again. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things in this episode that I'm like, I kind of like, but I don't like. There are things I dislike. Um, and a few things that are like they made some good decisions, but that I don't altogether like. So this comes down really like, you know, it's really hard to like pick a side on these things. And I'm going to wrap it up there because we've already been live for over an hour, over 2.5 hours.
Not long
And I don't,
enough.
I already don't know if I'm going to be able to export this to YouTube without downloading it first. So, all right, let's go on to ratings. And before we do ratings, I am going to say this episode retroactively lowers my rating for Interstellar Song Contest because it built up this whole, like, come and find me, grandfather, that has not gotten any
Yep.
payoff.
Mm-mm.
And for
So
all
I'm
we
dropping
know,
from a
won't.
4.0. I'm dropping from a 4.5 to a 4.0.
Hmm.
Which changes the average for that episode to a 4.33. And with that, Aaron, how do you rate the reality war?
And like keeping in mind we're doing basically Wish World and Reality.
Yeah, sorry. As a two-parter, but not as the whole season. Just as a two-parter.
I'm gonna go. Actually, I would like to lower my rating for Lucky Day down to 2.5 and meet Alex on that.
Okay, 2.5 for Lucky Day.
Interstellar Song Contest, I'm going to lower it down to a 4.5.
Lucky Day is now a 3.0. Why did Lucky Day drop? Because of just in general or something specific about this episode?
I don't think this episode is as bad as Lucky Day. I don't think these two episodes are as bad as Lucky Day. I think
Interstellar Song Contest dropped, right?
Interstellar Song Contest was at least on par with The Well. It was pretty good, and then Story in the Engine went above and beyond by exploring a very different, like a different country, a different culture, and everything. It took a lot of risks that I thought paid off pretty well. Wish World and Reality War, I think, are bouncing between a 3.5 and a 3. I think they're going to be a 3 for me, for both of them.
Go. Why? And it's not formatted. Why is it not formatted the same? So Canva is not made for spreadsheets, but since I pasted a spreadsheet in, it stayed as a spreadsheet, but I think it still doesn't understand how to be a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Alex, what is your rating?
This is really a matter of how mean do I want to be. You know what? I think this is worse than Lucky Day ultimately. So this is a matter of, do I bump Lucky Day up? Or do I make this lower than that? And I don't think I can do that. So I might bump Lucky Day up to a flat 3. And then
All of the ratings are changing today.
And then to be honest, yeah, I might have this as a 2.5. Like, there's only so much the acting could do. I was so angry with so much of the the implications from these two that, yeah.
Well, I've told myself today I don't necessarily need to agree or disagree on various things, that I can just have my opinion be my opinion. But it definitely feels miscalibrated to go with the rating that I'm planning to say. I feel the general, I kind of want to give this a 3.75. I feel like it's a generally like emotional and mostly well-made episode enough that it's hard to give below a 4. Whereas there's enough issues I definitely can't give it above a 4. I'm going to go with the 4.0, which makes me the highest rating here. But so be it. So that makes it a 3.17. Let me see how that comes out to in our ratings, in our
Nothing else,
rankings.
it's nothing else is definitely on par with Lucky Day now.
So out of 491 things reviewed, it is in the range. Oops. I apparently fucked up the. Okay, so that was not the number. The number was out of 789 things reviewed. I'm hoping that number might be off because I'm not entirely sure what just happened with that sorting. But oh, yep, what? Okay, so it's
I
damn
think
it.
it reversed it, maybe.
Yeah. So nope. So I think I accidentally am sorting the ranking and like the count, the number, and the ranking at the
Hmm.
same time, which they're not supposed to be part of the same field. Let me fix
Ah.
that. Uh, damn it. There we go. Remove filter. Go. Okay. Now let's.
There we go. That seems to have
Okay,
got
so
it.
assuming I didn't accidentally double up on any numbers, 3.17 is between 696 and 701. It is on par with The Pandorica Opens the Big Bang, Robot, Arc of Infinity, coincidentally enough,
Fitting.
and Lucky Day, coincidentally enough. It is not as good as Planet of the Giants, Time Lash, The Stones of Blood, The Highlanders, The Daleks' Master Plan, 73 Yards, The Visitation, or Fear Her. And it is better than Rings of Akhaten, Cold War, The Awakening, Vincent and the Doctor, The Girl Who Waited, Asylum of the Daleks, The Invasion of the Dinosaurs, The Romans, and Flux. And I feel like there's already a lot of controversial ratings in that span of what I just listed. Being not as good as Fear Her, but better than Vincent and the Doctor is probably already enough to start a flame war in the comments. um, but yeah, those are our rankings. All right. And that is what we have to say about Wish World the Reality War. At some point, we should probably do some sort of retrospective of the whole season, but we have been going way too long to do that tonight. So please let us know in the comments what you thought of this week's episode. Don't forget to like the video if you've listened this far, subscribe on YouTube to get our exports, or follow us on Twitch to get notified when we stream. Next time, we come back on June 14th with something a little different. We're going back to the very first episode of Doctor Who with An Unearthly Child, written by Anthony Coburn and starring William Hartnell as the Doctor, Carol Ann Ford as Susan Campbell, William Russell as Ian Chesterton, and Jacqueline Hill as Barbara Wright. We'll see you then.